Hello listeners, 'tis I, post-podcast Jordan, recording this pre-podcast disclaimer, what you are currently hearing pre-podcast. Be it an innocent accident or a malicious attack, Sam's laptop decided that instead of recording its podcast mic, like we asked it to, it would record the laptop microphone instead. So, me and Eddy, for the entirety of the podcast, sound pretty much as I sound now, whereas Sam is going to sound like this.
I'm just all-round cunt. Okay.
And we didn't actually realise until this podcast went into editing that the audio had done what it had done, but thankfully it's a pretty easy fix, so it won't happen again in future podcast recordings. Although maybe it should. Any long-term listeners will know the first 10 episodes of this podcast were recorded on a mobile phone. So maybe what we've done is cleverly combine the old and the new, putting them alongside each other so that you can see just how far we've come in such a short amount of time. Or maybe we screwed up, but it's not my place to speculate. Regardless, audio discrepancy withstanding, please enjoy these oral offerings, that sounds terrible. Please enjoy the 22nd episode of the Funfiltered podcast.
Hello, and welcome back to the Funfiltered podcast. I am Samuel, and I'm joined as ever by Eddy.
Hello.
And Jordan.
Hello.
Joined in spirit and sort of... Well, interestingly, Eddy, before we went live, you said that you've been doing a pub quiz with old friends of yours over Skype.
Yes.
And, well, you mentioned that you were getting drunk.
Yes.
That you had a hangover, and I said, drinking alone. And you said, well, no, over Skype. Now, does that count as drinking alone, or does it not? Philosophical question. What do you think?
Open up with the big question, Sam. Is it?
I mean, technically, I was sat in my room with drinks by myself, but I had people on another platform who were also doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yes. So you're kind of bound by activity.
By a group of sad losers. Yes.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, like, let's say someone who never left their house, but they Skyped constantly with different people. They had a social life, but it was playing out over Skype. Would you count that person as deeply lonely?
No.
Interesting. I genuinely don't know the answer to this question.
Well, it's obviously not the ideal method of socializing, isn't it?
No.
Like, if we weren't all in lockdown, if someone was like, "Oh, I'll join you over Skype,"
yeah,
people would just be like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?" You know, it wouldn't be like a valid way to participate.
Yeah,
but no, I don't see why. Yeah, I don't see why that. Well, he's not drinking alone because there are other people there. You know?
But by the same token, that you're never drinking alone, then, are you?
Well, no.
No, because
there's always someone drinking
because
somewhere.
Those people are interacting. There's direct correlation between their actions. They are, they're drinking with their friends.
But they're not, though, are they?
No, because you're trying to be like, sneaky with all the you're like, well, if there's like another person in the world who's also coincidentally drinking at the same time, then technically
I'm not trying to be sneaky about the detail. I'm not trying to Trojan horse anything. I'm just saying that what counts as being alone then? If you don't count like actually being on your own, but you're interacting with someone digitally,
yes.
What are the parameters of that? What are the limits? Where does being alone end and not
when
being
there's
alone
no
begin?
Interaction with another person?
What if you're talking to someone over like Omegle or whatever it is, where it's a stranger that you don't know?
Yeah, that's an interaction.
So you're not alone when you're doing that?
No, because there's another person on the other end of that interaction.
Right.
You know?
Okay, see, I would count that as being alone. I would count talking to someone that you've never met.
Well, yes, you're physically alone.
No, more than that. Bigger than that. I think you're alone in every sense.
Right. Well, it's sort of like with in a script, like is a car interior or exterior, you know?
Well, it's both, isn't it?
Yeah, it's both. But you get things like that where it's like, oh, what is it? Those are like in between.
Are we saying that solitude is a Schrodinger's cat? It's both at the same time.
No, I'm saying that if you're doing a thing and then there's another person who is responding to the thing you are doing.
Yes.
And you are engaged with, like, it's not just like, you do a thing and then like butterfly effect, someone else has to deal with the consequences of that action.
Right.
If you're both like, we are both doing things at each other and we're both responding to the things we are doing.
Yeah.
That is an interaction. And if you're having an interaction, then you're not alone.
I'm not denying it's an interaction. We are agreed on that front. I suppose.
Are we disagreeing on the fact that an interaction doesn't necessarily mean you're not alone?
I think so. I think we're dealing with the semantics of the word alone.
Okay.
I suppose there's a value judgment in alone, isn't it? Because, well, no, actually, I suppose there's a value judgment in lonely. No,
being alone and being lonely are different, though.
Well, no, lonely is something else entirely. You can be lonely while interacting with people.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So, but being alone seems more concrete. You either are or you aren't alone. You know, you can literally... Right. But I think there's a value judgment there in the sense of, I think someone who's, you know, watching a girl on webcam and masturbating and is talking to her is deeply alone. I don't mean lonely, I mean alone.
Right.
Even though he's engaged in a social interaction.
Okay.
I like the fact you've just outed my Friday night fun, but sure.
What I'm trying to get at, Eddie, is that you're deeply alone, okay?
I live with 3 other people. I am not deeply alone.
And this conversation, in any meaningful sense, isn't really happening. So,
there we go.
Well, I feel so much better, thank you, Sam.
Because it's not happening. We can be as racist as we want, and then the SJWs will come and we'll be like, but it didn't happen.
It's interesting.
We were all technically alone.
It's interesting that you jump to that. So you're saying that if God wasn't watching, as it were, racism is your first port of call.
No, I was trying to think of something that would translate across the airwaves.
George,
right? Like,
George,
we can all get naked.
This.
Well, it doesn't matter because no one's watching us. You know?
We've been through this. You're the racist. I'm the sexist. Sam's a cunt.
I'm just an all-round cunt. Okay. I was wondering where you were going to go with that, but okay, I accept cunt. Yeah. I'll take cunt.
Funny as well how Sam has ensured that he's the only redeemable character. You can't really come back from misogyny or racism, but being a cunt, like you can. This
actually brings up another interesting human failing cognitively. Okay. So Eddie has just said, "I'm an all-round cunt," right?
Yeah.
That is generally applicable in every circumstance. I am unpleasant.
Right.
You are racist, Jord, and Eddie, you're misogynist. So your hatefulness is very targeted, right? It's very streamlined. But because I'm just a cunt and because I'm an all-round cunt, I somehow seem more palatable. Isn't that weird? That's really strange.
Yeah.
It's like the comedian Richard Herring makes a joke about how you would hate a racist more than you would hate someone who hates everybody.
Yes.
Someone, who truly is a misanthrope, who just despises humanity.
It's sort of, it's making an assumption about the racist in this context, but
we don't want to judge the racist.
No, we wouldn't want to do that. We're not racist or anything. If that's what it would be.
If you're judging a racist.
Yeah, what would be the derogatory practice if you're being derogatory towards racists?
Liberalism.
Other than common human decency. What would you call it?
What do you mean? Like you're bigoted against racists?
Well, if you demonstrate hatred towards women, then you're a misogynist.
Yeah.
If you're demonstrating hatred towards racists, what's that?
Well, I suppose it is covered under the umbrella of decency and all that sort of thing, because it's like there needs to be a word for people who hate black people and for people who hate women.
Yeah.
There doesn't need to be a word for people who hate laptops. Do you know what I mean? It's just like there's not enough demand.
Not yet.
There's a supply and demand problem there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. When you say like hating a racist, like being bigoted towards a racist, do you mean unfairly prejudicial towards a racist?
That's the definition, right, of bigotry?
Well, I mean, no, bigotry is just having a bias against a group of people, isn't it?
Right, okay.
A preconceived idea.
Okay.
Because prejudice can be a good thing in certain circumstances.
Okay.
It has an ugly word because we usually associate it with racism.
Well, are you talking about the I don't know who it was on, who said it. It was one of the intellectual dark web who was saying that we have an opinion of apples. Like the reason we make assumptions about things is that we can survive as a human being.
Oh, right.
Like when we see an apple, we know that an apple probably won't kill us. We can make that assumption.
I don't know, because I felt like that came up a long time ago, so I'm not sure it was a member of the IDW.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically the idea that we judge all the time, right? And
yes.
But the idea racism is kind of a glitch in that system. It's kind of a horrible byproduct of evolution.
Yes.
But so what do you mean when you say bigoted towards a racist?
Well, the same bigotry one would demonstrate when being bigoted towards women. This is not important. All I want is a word. I want a mini Sam's Lexicorner. That's all I want.
Oh, you want me to invent the word for...
Or if no word exists.
Right. Okay.
Or not. I don't know. This is a tangent that isn't. We don't need this tangent.
But I suppose I just have to know if it's like you're okay. So let's just say, for example, there's a racist, and we deplore his viewpoint in that sphere.
Yeah.
But let's say that he's very sensible about the economy.
Right.
Right. Would the prejudice towards the racist kind of colour him, as it were, in every respect? So we can't listen to his opinion about anything because he's a racist.
I think that's how it works
Okay.
with women and black people, right?
They're
A
across
racist
the
or a
board.
misogynist will, doesn't matter what they do, it's like, oh, but you're black. Oh, but
I
you're a
suppose
woman,
it's all a
you know?
spectrum, isn't it? But okay, so we're writing off racists wholesale. They have nothing good to say about
this is the
anything.
point I was originally going to make when you were saying that like the fact that you being an all-round cunt and yet you're more redeemable than me and Eddie being a racist. Like in that scenario, it sort of implies that me and Eddie are basically decent people up to the racism.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like, that seems more horrible. Because if someone's just an all-around cunt, when they're just being like nasty, it's like, oh, but that's who they are. If me and Eddie are like basically decent, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, fucking women, they're just terrible, aren't they?
Okay.
Like, it's like, like something's been corrupted, you know? It's like, no, you're a good person.
See, I think it's a different impulse. I think it's consistency. Someone who hates everyone is at least consistent. Is like, okay, I can actually see the logic in hating everyone, but just hating black people, hating women, the fact that it's precise, its precision is what is revolting, you know? Because it's like, you have no good reason to think that.
Yeah.
Like, hating everybody, fair enough. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, see, I mean, you could take someone like Nigel Farage, though, in this conversation, because a lot of people hate him for what his views and where he stands on things. But he's a good laugh down the pub and he can sure neck a pint.
There is that. That was the UKIP party manifesto, isn't it? That's like
he's a terrible man, but he's a laugh, you know?
He's a laugh.
Yeah.
He'll join you for a beer. You know?
Do any of us actually know much about Nigel Farage?
No,
I know that he likes
he
beers.
looks weird and he likes a
That's
beer.
all I know.
He does look weird. He looks like a toad. But then again, so does Trump. So I suppose if that's reason enough to vote for him. Don't you ever expect with Trump that his chin and it to just kind of inflate like a toad, like, you know, that?
I can fully see that.
I'm always waiting for
I
that.
can imagine that.
Yeah. So what have you been up to, lads?
You know, pretending I'm dropping a rap album. Basically,
Okay.
my life now.
Do you want to explain yourself?
I took a picture with the microphone because I was bored, and that equated to me deciding to write random rap lyrics, which are quite bad.
Right.
Do you know what we're going to ask now?
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah.
He's not going to do it though.
I'm not going to rap them. I will say them. I'm not going to rap them.
Oh, well, there's no point then.
Like I said, just
literally not. If you're going to pretend right, Eddie. Just rap it.
It
for
becomes
us right now.
No,
because the thing is, rap is poetry, but in a delivered in a lilted fashion.
Yeah,
to a beat.
so I will just
so
read
if you just
them,
read
and
out
you can
your
treat
poem,
it like
it becomes a
poetry.
It's
then.
a poem recitation.
Rap is
a
man's poetry.
No, I'm not rapping it.
Look, I will lay down a sick beat for you. I've said this. I will lay down a sick beat.
No.
Wiki. Come on!
I'm not rapping it like that.
Go on then. What's your rap?
This is like my coronavirus diss track, basically.
Okay. Straight out of Cardiff.
COVID-19, you stupid.
It's, you wanted to isolate us, and now you've kicked up a fuss. Sorry, mate, you've missed the bus. Us lot, we were already fucked. So you're just shit out of luck. We'll treat you like a little cuck. Sat there, you're stuck in mourning. The next virus is already calling.
There were no racial expletives in that, so it can't be rap.
It's not a real rap.
That's not rap.
Shameful, Eddie.
Come on, say it. Say it. Say the word.
Which word do you want me to say, Sam?
N-I-G. Say it.
Come on. N-I-G for you. Fill in the blank.
Yeah, the rest of the word. Come on.
I'm not saying Nigeria again. Come on now.
Okay, fair enough. It's fair enough.
Honestly, the outtakes of this are going to be horrific.
Oh god, I can't think of a single word that has the letters N-I-G in it in any, like, in that order anywhere in the word.
Night?
No, but they have that sort of, like, that sound to them. Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe that, like, language was so, that's such a taboo word that no other word can even begin to sound like it.
Yeah.
I don't know, don't you ever, you've got a focus, like a laser point focus whenever you say Arnold Schwarzenegger. Do you know that? You've like really got to think about, getting that right.
Yeah. Well, during during the Scott Pilgrim discussion we had, in the top 10 of the 10s, when we were talking about, like, Nager Scott.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that almost went awry a couple of times.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been up to anything else, or is it just focusing on your fictional rap career?
I mean, I've done a bit of writing and a bit of reading still.
Okay.
Yeah, but we don't care about that. All we care about is your fictional rap career.
Well, yeah. I mean, the worst thing is that's probably by far the best.
Is that like the thing you've had the best reception to? Not your sincere attempts at becoming a writer or anything like that. Just the stupid little.
Well, I mean, like George, I did send you the jokey little thing that I wrote, which was my stay home demo.
Yes, which you're about to hear now.
All right, okay. We're stuck inside with nowhere to go. Our eyes grow wide, go to the window. Man on the street, now where's he off to? No bags in hand, so can't be Tesco. I spy on him, I keep my eyes peeled. I lose my mind when it's revealed. The truth inside, no I can't conceal. The man's just sat drinking in a field. It's day or night, there's no need to roam. So stay inside, scrolling Google Chrome. Chances are high that you're not alone. Hear my advice, stay smart and stay home.
That's being spliced into the episode.
Yeah, it's fine.
We've got you rapping on the episode.
We do. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing that I've got written down...
I like that moment where he was like, oh shit, that's actually going to happen.
I
There's
don't
no
give a
stopping
shit.
it.
I honestly, I could put it in there. It's funny as fuck.
You say that. Your face didn't say that, Eddie.
The only other thing I've got, and don't ask me why this was the line in my head, but it starts with, you got ketchup on your neck.
Why was that line in your head?
I don't know. But you got ketchup on your neck, you looking kind of stressed.
Mustard in your
so
loins.
I'm pressing eject before you hit the deck.
Ketchup on your neck.
Yeah.
I'm sort of
Vampires?
picturing a McDonald's vampire.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to eat with that person. It's like, oh, he's got ketchup on his neck again.
I don't have a conversation with him. It's kind of like, how
are you
did
managing
you get
this?
ketchup on your neck? It's like that. Is it Greeks or?
How do you need to like miseat the food? Explain the physics of it to me.
Yeah.
Like, how the hell does it end up there?
Is it the Greeks that throw like salt over their shoulder or something before they eat? There's someone that does that.
Maybe the Greeks. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's his little routine. He's a fat American. He just throws ketchup over his shoulder.
For good luck, or
well, just as part of the tradition, isn't it? It's like people do say they say grace before eating. He just throws ketchup over his shoulder.
That's his grace.
That's his grace. Yeah.
Bottle of Heinz over the shoulder.
Yeah. I overheard the worst person in the world.
Sorry.
So the people I live next to are scum.
Okay.
And they were on the doorstep and they were having a conversation. And here are some of the tidbits that I overheard.
Okay.
So they were lamenting, as we all are, the enduring lockdown of the country. And one of them said, "Oh, they've closed everything. It's fucking childish." So that was the first note.
Okay.
Then in response, the person said, "They're hiding something. They're hiding something from the public, and Donald Trump has the answer." That's verbatim. I've not condensed that for poetic purposes or anything. That is verbatim what was said.
I suppose it's pretty nice to sort of like be a world leader in this current climate, because literally anything bad that happens is Donald Trump's fault.
Yeah.
Like even Boris Johnson, who has his detractors, even Trump is even responsible for his failures, you know?
I misheard that then. When you said he has his detractors, I thought you were concocting another conspiracy theory. I thought you were saying, Boris Johnson, he has detractors. And God knows what he is doing in those fields.
Well, he needed a couple of weeks. That's why he faked COVID-19, right? So he could
to get the combine harvesters.
I have the tractors. I will plough the field.
And then the final nail in the coffin was they were talking about a trip to Amsterdam, and one of them reviewed Anne Frank and just said, "Oh yeah, Anne Frank, boring. Found Anne Frank boring." Now,
seen it done before, you know?
Yeah, I've never been to Amsterdam. I've never been to the Anne Frank Museum. Maybe it's kind of a taboo thing to say that, okay, for some people, it might be boring going to the Anne Frank Museum, because you know what? Museums can be boring.
Yes.
But to find to find that boring, that's such a failure of everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of compassion. What were you expecting at the Anne Frank Museum?
I'm not gonna lie, when you said he gave a review of Anne Frank, I genuinely thought you were just going to be like, hey, just turn around. He's like, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
What was a Jew, then wasn't.
Yeah, 6 out of 10. You know, she's
6 out of 10.
She was inspiring and all that, but you know, she wasn't that hot. Or
She wasn't that
the
hot.
hell.
Yeah.
Or whatever the hell he's on about.
She was pretty impeccable at hide and seek, but ultimately imperfect.
Yeah. It's not going to help if you're applying for like a job in like, you know, finance or whatever, is it? For hide and seek.
Where's she now, that stupid bitch? Where's she now? No one talks about her anymore.
You know, Anne Frank, fucking typical one-hit wonder.
Typical.
She turns up,
Typical.
she does her thing, never to be heard from again.
Never to be heard of.
Royalties she must be raking in, mad.
I know,
Oh,
it's
that
ridiculous.
book sells through the fucking roof.
Yeah,
Well, it's just further confirmation that Jews control everything, don't they?
absolutely, yeah. Speaking of, hasn't J.J. Abrams been up to something?
That's hell of a
Fair
segue.
He's up to a few things, to be fair.
Right.
The one I wanted to highlight.
Actually, before we dive into this,
Okay.
I was going to introduce a little installment of Sam's Lexicorner in this episode out of nothing, ex nihilo. I was going to, drop it.
Right.
But I'm lamenting the fact now that we were talking about ketchup, and I could have segued from ketchup into this point. So I'm just going to pretend that we just talked about ketchup.
Right, okay.
Okay, so here's another edition of Sam's Lexicorner.
Samuel. Words. Phrases. Sam's Lexicorner.
Okay, so this week on Sam's Lexicorner, tomatoes are fruit, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. But it's often grouped with vegetables.
Yeah.
And so one of the first, interesting facts you hear as a child is, oh, did you know tomatoes are actually fruit?
Yeah, it's
Right.
one of those, basic bitch, oh, funny, you didn't know this. you know?
Yes.
We raise dumb
God,
children.
isn't the world
yes.
strange, you know?
Okay, so I would say now most people know that tomatoes are fruit in the world.
Yeah.
Most people know that.
Yeah.
But most people also probably think that most other people think it's a vegetable.
Right.
And so whenever the subject comes up, it's, oh, did you actually know tomatoes are fruit? And so I'm coining the tomato fallacy, which refers to the idea that most people believe the spurious notion when in fact they know the real thing. They know the actual fact of the situation. It's the misapprehension that the fiction is more widely believed than the fact.
Okay.
So I'm calling that the tomato fallacy.
Does it become localized? So is it the tomato fallacy in America? Or are you putting your foot down and you're like, no,
Well,
I invented the word, fucking say it properly. You know?
well,
Or phrase. You didn't invent the word tomato. You invented
didn't.
the phrase tomato
I didn't.
fallacy.
the remaining liberal bones I have compel me to be open to diversity of pronunciation, but we all know there's only one right way of doing it.
Okay.
The tomato fallacy.
Samuel. Words. Phrases. Sam's Lexicorner.
Right, Eddie, you were talking. I interrupted you.
It's just J.J. Abrams has been working with HBO Max on a spin-off TV series of The Shining.
Yeah, that's literally all I know. Do we have any more information about it?
It's called Overlook,
Okay.
and he is working with Castle Rock co-creator Dustin Thomason.
Right, okay.
Is that a good thing?
I don't know anything about Castle Rock other than it ran for 2 series.
Yeah, it's ongoing, I think, unless it's been cancelled. It's okay. Castle Rock. Obviously, Castle Rock is it's kind of an anthology series inspired by the works of Stephen King, and so each season integrates different aspects and characters from different novels.
So there's a connection there already by bringing in the Castle Rock guy.
Yeah,
to Stephen King.
exactly. So season 2, there are elements of Salem's Lot, there are elements of Misery. They kind of just bring all these different things together.
Well, my impulse, as I feel might be the impulse with a lot of people, is when I think, spin-off The Shining, I obviously immediately think of the Kubrick film.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, that has no wiggle room for expansion, But I haven't read the Shining books. I haven't read the Doctor Sleep.
Yeah.
I've seen Doctor Sleep, the film. So I know that there's a universe beyond what's presented in Kubrick's The Shining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how rife it is for expansion and exploration, though.
Well, yeah, so Overlook's obviously the name of the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing they're going to build it around
Different guests.
different guests, different characters.
Do you think it might be like a Bates Motel? They might go in that direction? Because that was 5 seasons, I think.
Yeah. I haven't read The Shining either. I know that there are substantive differences between the book and Kubrick's adaptation.
Famously, yeah.
Yeah, like that is very much its own kind of creature. But I don't know. I mean, I guess I remain open to it. We'll see. But
Is J.J. Abrams the right person to do a Shining story?
Well,
again,
I say,
because the Kubrick film is so like measured and deliberate.
You're talking about the film now.
I'm talking about the film, yeah. And I know Doctor Sleep is a bit less horror-y and a bit more like thrillery.
Yeah. I know most people are going to think of the Kubrick film, but I think you've got to lift that out of the equation. I doubt this is going to have any relationship to that film.
No.
I don't know. I can see the show referencing it a few times.
No, well, not the film, right? It'll reference the events that took place.
No, I think it'll reference the film. I think it's impossible to not reference the film.
Why?
Well, it's just so... It's probably more known in pop culture than the book of The Shining.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
That's what most people's interpretation of The Shining is. It's what Kubrick did with it.
Yeah.
So I think to basically disregard it entirely, or to sort of pretend as though the film is not there, I don't think the show would do that. I think its impulse would be sort of like a few winks and nods so people can go like, oh yes, it does know The Shining exists.
I'm not saying that it won't do that, because I agree that they likely will.
I think especially in the wake of like Star Trek and Star Wars, J.J. Abrams has that impulse in him anyway to kind of like reference different portions of a certain property and to sort of make it feel like it's one cohesive whole, you know? Not quite nostalgia baiting, but sort of like that impulse is in him now.
Well, Star Wars, it's canon, isn't it? That is it's following on from the events of the preceding films.
Well, yeah.
No, it is, isn't it? You can call it a soft reboot, but it's within the same universe. It's the same.
No, it's more the fact that it's literally the same films. That's why.
Okay. The Shining, like I said, I'm not saying they won't do that. They might well treat that film as kind of as gospel. Yeah. But Stephen King was famously unhappy with Kubrick's version of The Shining.
Yeah.
And I don't know, is he involved in its production of this new series?
Is that Stephen King's MO? I don't really get the impression that he's involved in many of his adaptations.
Not many.
Like he cameoed in It Part 2, but he probably had nothing to do with the development of that film.
No. Yeah, very few. Very few. I mean, he might be a producer, I don't know. But if I was doing it, I wouldn't refer to the film at all.
Right.
Because you're either doing something inspired by the book or you're doing something inspired by the film. Doctor Sleep obviously sort of did both.
Yes.
How cleverly is up to you to determine. But that's sort of the events of the book, but the iconography of the film. So I can see the show doing that, of like Jack, if they ever show Jack Torrance, he'll have the Nicholson hair and that sort of thing.
And the hotel will probably be somewhat modelled after...
Yeah, the same carpets, the trikey and all that sort of thing.
I don't know. See, taking out of the equation whether J.J. Abrams will or won't reference the film, I don't know whether he should. I don't know whether the show... Again, because Kubrick's The Shining is so entrenched in the fabric of pop culture, I don't know if the show kind of needs a moment where it's sort of like delivering a statement of like, this is a different beast, Whether that would be sort of like you do a scene that looks like it's going the same direction as the film, and then you completely subvert it.
It could go the way of Fargo, couldn't it? Where season 1 starts off as it's kind of a reboot of the film, sort of. Yeah. In that you've got the pregnant. Well, she's not pregnant at the time. But you've got the female sheriff and all these different. It's like, okay,
you've got exactly.
They're doing something different. You've got the William H. Macy analog, but then by the end of the season, and then by season 2, it's entirely its own.
Yeah, at what point did it become clear that TV Fargo is a different beast from film Fargo?
Well, it depends what you mean by different beast, doesn't it? Because the film is canon within the TV series, isn't it? So, but obviously they're tonally very similar, and Noel Hawley has been unapologetic about saying he is trying to make a Coen Brothers film on television. Yeah. Like that is what he's trying to do with each season. I don't know, I guess just that gradually, I can't pinpoint a moment where I thought, okay, this is its own entity now. It just kind of happened, I suppose, somewhere along the way in season 1.
Okay.
And I would say, just for confirmation, according to the thing I'm looking at, it does say it's going to take a similar approach to Bates Motel.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
So it'd be a prequel.
It'll be a prequel, right?
Rather than...
Yeah, that feels like the sensible direction. I haven't seen Bates Motel. My mother and my sister were obsessed with it. Yeah. But I hear good things about it. I hear that it did pretty well. Wasn't it the
last series of Bates Motel where they... basically loosely did the plot of Psycho?
I think so.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was a prequel.
We'll see, I guess,
Yeah.
as ever. And the other thing was the Eddy. Eddy?
Yes. The TV series that's coming to Netflix in May.
Yeah.
Well, let's say it's a TV series. It's a limited series.
Okay.
And what's the premise?
It's Damien Chazelle.
Yeah.
So it's jazz music.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically, there is a jazz club called the Eddy. And it turns out that the partner in the club owes a lot of money.
To unpleasant people?
To unpleasant people.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
So,
okay.
yeah, you've got sort of backdrop of jazz with this sort of drama going on over affording the
Is it
nightclub. And,
Is it period? Is it contemporary?
from the looks of it, I'd say it's fairly contemporary.
Okay. See, I don't think he's done period yet, has he? Outside of First Man.
No.
No.
I mean, La La Land is obviously a very deliberate throwback, but...
Yeah, I suppose in a way he doesn't have to do period because his films have a very retro, for lack of a better word, feel to them anyway.
Yeah.
Like La La Land could sort of take place at any time.
Yeah.
Same with Whiplash as well.
So, yeah, so could Whiplash, yeah.
Yes.
So as an Eddy yourself, Eddy,
Yeah.
how do you feel about this kind of representation?
I mean, it's
Because
spelled,
you're not a club, are you?
I'm not a club. However, I also don't
Yeah.
spell Eddy with a Y.
How do you feel about this heinous like summary that like, oh, all Eddies are clubs? you
Yeah.
know?
Misrepresentation.
Yeah.
I've been called worse things.
Okay.
No, you have to. You can't just accept this bigotry. You have to stand up to it,
Do
Eddy.
you not resent the tacit implication that you've had loads of men inside you?
No.
Okay.
I don't care.
Fair enough. Wear that on your
Hello,
sleeve.
Eddie's mum and dad.
Do you know what I want to see? A loan shark that's just kind of has a disposition towards politeness and is just frustrated. So they instead of like, I'm gonna fucking break your legs, whenever they go to collect the money, he's like, I don't have any. She's like, oh, why? For God's sake, please, just give me my money. They're always like shady, aren't they?
I'm a lone shark, not a lone teddy bear. You can't just keep doing this to
It's
me.
in the name. I'm a
Yeah,
shark.
grrr.
Bitch. I'm sorry. That was improper of me. Okay. Well, it's Damien Chazelle. You know, I will give it a go.
Yeah, I will definitely be watching it. I mean, I
Yeah.
like jazz. And it's
You
Damien,
like jazz?
And
I don't like jazz.
And I like
Okay.
Damien Chazelle.
Okay.
Yeah, I will certainly be giving it a go. I like the look of the trailer.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he tackles television. He hasn't done that before, has he?
No.
No, he hasn't.
No. So,
I'll say
yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether he...
I mean,
do you think, off the top of your head, because Whiplash is such a... We've talked about that at length already, but that's such like a... That belongs as a film. You know, it's such a tight, well-constructed story.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of weird to think about him doing something more long form with like, you know, multiple characters and storylines interweaving, and rather than just a very specific story, you know?
He's actually not the only director. I didn't realise that. He's directing...
No, he's directing the first 2 episodes, so it's very much a he's going to set the tone and then probably never do anything with it ever again.
Oh, why'd you bother bringing this to our attention, Eddie?
I didn't realise that.
I don't know. I mean, it could be like a Fincher, couldn't it? Where he directed the first few episodes of Mindhunter, but then remained as a creative presence and then directed episodes of
Mindhunter
season
still
2.
feels like a Fincher project, even when Fincher is not directly, creatively spearheading it. Yeah. That was a bummer, wasn't it? We talked about that. There's nothing really to talk about it, but the indefinite delay of Mindhunter.
Yeah.
Possibly to never
that is a bummer.
return.
I mean, it was one of the best shows on television. And it's such a, I don't know, it feels like to take a break, to me, suggests that you're really saying goodbye to it, because...
Yeah, or
I
they
could
don't
be
really
wrong.
know what to do with it.
I think it was, Fincher was just pursuing different things creatively, and he didn't want to hold the cast, like, indefinitely to their contracts, you know. So, like, well, we'll release them from their contracts, and then if we have more ideas, we'll bring them back, sort of thing.
Okay.
But especially for a period show, I mean, it's the 70s and 80s, it's not like it's the 20s, but still, it's period detail. To put your foot on the brakes to that, it's like you're saying it's over, you know?
Okay. I would like to be a bit more optimistic about it. I like to think that it is just, we'll come back to it. We just don't have anything in the pipeline at the moment.
I'm hopeful, but I've seen this, you know, it's very rare that shows kind of say, we're going on hiatus, and then actually come back.
Yeah.
It's
Because I don't
usually a
know.
soft
'Cause,
cancellation.
the interesting thing about Mindhunter is it sort of has 3 main characters, right?
Yeah.
And the first season followed one of those main characters, and the second season followed one of the other main characters.
Sort of.
So, Yeah, sort of. Like, it follows everyone, but the focus is very much on one character.
Yeah,
you know? What's his name? Holden?
Yeah, Holden in the first season.
Holden in the first series, then
Bill
in the second series, and then you have the woman, Dr. Wendy, whatever she's called.
Wendy Carr, isn't it?
Okay. If you want to try and find a pattern there, then Wendy would be the focus of the third series.
I suppose so.
So I don't know whether they just didn't have a story yet for her, because obviously she's a doctor, but she's also like a lesbian as well, and it's sort of set at a time where that wasn't really a fully accepted thing yet.
This is because of a lack of creative juice. I think it is just Fincher can't do it for the time being.
Yeah.
And so it's not going to continue without him. And if that's the case, I applaud that.
Okay.
It's like, don't feel the need to keep the train rolling if the driver fucks off.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So hopefully it will come back, but I'm not optimistic about it.
Okay.
I gotta be honest.
It is such a shame. I've never seen a show that, other than maybe that one episode of The Shield that follows Forrest Whitaker, I've never seen a show that will sort of change the perspective. Like, the show will sort of shift to a different character's perspective. So you're seeing the show through a different character eyes, and without changing the character you were following, he feels like a completely different character. Like the first series with Holden, you're kind of with Holden all of the way. You see, you see his flaws and everything, but you're very much following him. And then the moment the show switches over to Bill's perspective, Holden just seems like a loose cannon. You're sort of like Bill, where you're like, you don't know how you can cope with him. And it doesn't feel like they do anything different with that character. It feels exactly the same.
It's interesting that it kind of, your perspective is that it's as tectonic a shift as it is. Because I don't see it.
I'm not saying it's
way.
a radical.
Yeah.
It's because it's not a radical shift. Because the part of the point I'm making is that he feels like the exact same character.
Yeah.
But your relationship to him completely changes without no change to him. You know?
Well, it's that thing of because you're getting a little bit more of an insight into Bill's life, and in season 2, the trouble that he's going through with his son. And the fact he can't be at home because he's investigating these murders.
Yeah.
When you've got because Bill is the more seasoned, kind of grizzled, experienced one.
Yeah.
And then Holden they're both very professional, but Holden is younger and a lot more idealistic and kind of revolutionary, I suppose. He really wants to.
Yeah.
He cares less about propriety.
Yes.
So when you've got Bill dealing with all this stuff and Holden's like, you're not committed, mate. Your mind's not on the job. It seems more offensive, It's fuck you. You don't know what this guy is going through.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's just that thing of with those episodes of Lost where you're seeing Ben's backstory, and it's like, okay, I'm seeing the villains. Everyone's a villain until you hear this side of the story, right?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
So it's kind of an extension of that, I guess.
Yeah. But obviously, we would even though for the time being at least, it's a story that's going to go unfinished. We absolutely recommend Mindhunter. Right?
It's the most deliberately crafted show I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I put Breaking Bad even in that category.
I know we've sort of like the running joke with you is everything you like is just people in rooms talking.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's your ideal TV show. It's a show of people in rooms talking. That is literally Mindhunter. It is a show of people in rooms talking. But it's so well done.
It's so well done.
The talking is so good.
The talking is so good. And just the people feel it's perfectly cast. And the highlight of it has to be Cameron Britton as Ed Kemper. Just that performance.
Oh, they've got a wicked Ed Kemper.
Yeah.
Do you know Mindhunter, right, Eddie?
I haven't seen it. It's on my list.
Okay, but you know what it is, right?
Ish.
Okay, yeah, it's basically like...
Mindhunter is about the sort of the nascency of the FBI profiling technique. So it's about the two guys that kind of spearheaded this idea of talking to serial killers and understanding them on a psychological level. And they kind of gave birth to even the term serial killer. They created the language for the discourse on this subject. It's set in the late 70s and early 80s. And the first season's a bit more roaming. It's about different cases across the country. But season 2 it focuses on the Atlanta child murders in the late 70s. And it's just meticulous in every respect.
Yeah, in the same way, because that's sort of the appeal of the show, is you're following the people who are writing the book on FBI profiling as characters, but the sort of the highlight of the show is they go to a prison and they interview convicted serial killers. Yeah. Like Ed Kemper is a recurring side character that they constantly go back to.
Yeah.
They interview Manson at one point.
Yeah.
And that's like
That's cool.
referring back to what I was saying about like Bad Genius, and I suppose Whiplash as well. Like in those films, in Whiplash, the drumming sequences are kind of like the action scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And in Bad Genius, whenever they're doing an exam, that's kind of your big heist scene as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of feels a bit like that with Mindhunter, where that's kind of the closest, the conversations they have with the killers is the closest the show gets to like its sort of thrillery scenes.
Yeah, action set pieces.
Like I was like, even though the show is literally just people in rooms talking, I was always like waiting with anticipation for the next time they get in a room with a killer.
Oh yeah,
And they're just talking to them in a prison. They're definitely the highlights of the show.
Yeah,
It's
because
so well run.
It's
so well
obsession with minutia. Like a massive plot point in Mindhunter is they find out that a killer has behaved slightly differently than other killers they've interviewed.
Yeah.
And that kind of adds a whole new framework, to their thinking. And the scenes where it's just so well written, where it's every little look, pause, and what they say or don't say.
Yeah.
It all has this weight to it, and and the way it's filmed, it's perfect, frankly, isn't it?
Yes.
We recommend Mindhunter.
It's definitely on the list. So
Okay.
Should I quickly get in my review of Tiger King then?
yeah.
Well, I was going to say, all those people who are hashtagging release Joe King, or whatever his name is.
Joe
Exotic.
Exotic.
Joe Exotic. Hashtag free Joe Exotic. No. Hashtag bring back Mindhunter.
Yeah.
But yeah, you stuck with Tiger King.
Yeah.
And you finished it, right?
Yeah.
Go on. What do you have to say?
Okay, so what I said before was it felt like its popularity was A, because everyone is now at home watching Netflix.
Yeah.
And B, while, admittedly the characters, the subjects of the documentary are very bizarre people, and it's an unusual situation. And the fact that Joe Exotic looks the way he does, like a caricature, like he lends himself to memes very well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that a large part of its popularity is that people who aren't really exposed to weird shit, it's incredibly surreal to them. And I think that's part of it. Not all of it. I don't think that accounts for all of its popularity. So yeah, I watched it to the end. It is well made. It's messy, but it's well made.
Is it messy because we've already, everyone already knows that like production kind of changed halfway through.
Yeah.
Because when they began filming, he hadn't ordered the death of Carol Baskin. And then that sort of happened halfway through. So the focus of the documentary sort of shifted.
Yeah.
So is that why it feels messy? Because you can sort of tell when the moment they start to like
No, messy
scramble.
in the sense of it goes off on tangents and it sometimes lacks a clarity of purpose.
Okay.
Which is fine. I'm all for messy sometimes, but yeah, it is well made if muddled a little bit. It is an interesting subject and situation, but basically it's not all that. Is my thing. Like
Right,
what
okay.
they set up in the first episode. I think I said before, like, I got the gist, and I know that was quite glib, but I did. Now having watched all of it, it does take occasional. It is quite bonkers, and it does take occasional swerves into kind of outright weirdness and unpredictability, but only by dint of the documentary makers have held it back from you. So, for instance, Joe Exotic has 2 husbands unofficially, and he clearly is very controlling, and he has them on drugs, and he has enough money that he keeps them hooked on drugs, and they don't feel like they can leave the compound, and they have a very restricted life. And then one of them kills himself.
Okay.
And it's surprising because it's almost caught on camera, right?
Right.
CCTV footage. He basically walks out of frame and you hear a gunshot and you see the reaction of someone who has seen it happen. My biggest the most interesting thing I've taken away from it is the Skylar effect. I've seen a lot of people say that, Carol Baskin is truly the evil person
Right.
in this documentary. And I'm deeply suspicious of that because, there is one episode focuses on the disappearance of her husband and the speculation that she had him killed or killed him and disposed of the body.
Yeah.
Now, if that is true, it is obviously a hideous thing to do, and she is a hideous person. And she comes across as quite unlikable in like a Hillary Clinton kind of way, where it's a bit false and the laughing's a bit artificial, and I wouldn't want to be in her company, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of what we know about Joe Exotic, I don't know how you can come out of that documentary and go, oh yeah, she's definitely worse. He paid someone to have her killed. he controlled his husbands to the point where one of them committed suicide, right? He kills his animals. He clearly is purely ego-driven. I don't understand how you can come out of it thinking that she's worse. It's definitely a Skylar effect of like, oh man, he's this kooky kind of libertarian that just wants his own property and the rights to these animals, and you know, he shoots dummies. He's, oh, this is a PETA member, and he like blows up a dummy.
Yeah.
He's entertaining, and she is boring, and so therefore we dislike her more. And I'm just a bit, I do think that, you know, not to sound like a woke lefty, I think there's a bit of misogyny in there. I do. I think that an irritating, for whatever reason, an annoying woman, we find more repulsive than an evil man. And I think that's a really strange psychological phenomenon. Because you'd have to contend the Skylar thing is bizarre, right?
Well, no, she's a bitch.
Okay.
We established this back in episode 1, Sam.
Yes, no, I do agree, Sam.
Yeah, you know, she's a bit...
You're supposed to have my back, Eddie. It's us versus him,
she's
you know?
She's a fucking moany wife. And for whatever reason, we hate that more than we hate, you know, dissolving bodies in acid. It's a very strange thing. And I think it demands some introspection. Carol Baskin might be a hypocrite, and she might have killed her husband. But we know what Joe Exotic has done. And if you think she's worse, there is something suspect about your character, and you should examine it.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that she's better. I'm just saying the things we know about him tip him over the edge of acceptability. Whereas she might be immoral. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's just a bit odd.
I'm a misogynist, so I'm allowed to hate her. So
yeah, you're allowed to. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Well, yeah. What do you say about because I haven't seen the show, so I can't say with any certainty. But yeah, this hashtag going around, hashtag free Joe Exotic.
No.
Because he's in prison now, right?
Yeah, not a fucking chance.
Not at all.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Why? Because he entertained us on this documentary series.
Yeah.
He paid a hitman to kill a woman. No, he should be in jail. He's obviously a horrible human being. In fact, barring maybe one or two, everyone on the documentary is a horrible human being.
Right.
Everyone. They're all horrible people.
Yeah.
This whole big game, big cat thing they've got going in America. They're just on the fringes of society with their automatic weapons and their compounds. There's cult mentality. And, you know, there's this other guy in the documentary that he clearly just has this harem of young women that he just keeps around him. It's a cult. This is utter vanity-driven cult complex. And they're all horrible people. But Joe Exotic, he's got a mullet that's kind of got blonde highlights. Fucking hell, you know. And also, right, so they released, you know, they were releasing that episode a week after they released.
Yeah.
That's like an after show Talking Dead, Talking Bad style special hosted by Joel McHale.
Right.
Where he just talks via Skype rather to that's now synonymous to me, podcast and Skype. He talks via Skype to some of the people involved in the documentary, and it's like what was your favorite bit? Hey, this is a real situation. These are real people. It's the most misjudged thing I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, because I thought it was going to be like more content. I didn't think it was going to be like a tacked on post match thing.
No, it is. Yeah, just a post match analysis. And
okay,
so yeah,
do you think that's like, oh shit, this thing is like really popular all of a sudden? Let's like capitalize on that.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Yeah. I think it's okay because like 38 million people watched it. You know, it was ridiculous.
Right. Okay.
But they're going to, aren't they? My final analysis is it's a well-made documentary. It's perfectly, you know, by all means watch it. I kind of recommend it on that level. But documentaries predated Netflix, and there are better documentaries out there.
Right.
It's not all on Netflix.
Okay. Yeah.
For fuck's sake.
Hasn't Community just gone up on Netflix?
Yep.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I'm just wondering why the hell Joe McHale? Like, why him?
He hosts, he does host a show, is it The Soup or something like that, where it's a similar sort of thing.
Okay. Because Chris Hardwick hosts all of the Talking Bad and all that, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think Joe McHale is the guy you get if you can't get Chris Hardwick.
Right, okay.
Yeah. We dive into the big one then?
Okay.
Yep.
So, season 5. Oh yeah, go on then.
Din 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 din. Okay, whatever. Well, worst one so far, I would say. Yeah.
Right. 11th hour.
Yep.
Well, it looks better, doesn't it?
It's so much better. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really has taken a leap. I know this is like when they started filming in HD, but the thing that I really noticed with this series, and something that definitely continues throughout Moffat's run, is like the quality of the filmmaking has gone up as well.
Yeah.
Like before, Doctor Who was sort of filmed like, it was very typical of like television of that time, where the camera just kind of floated around proceedings. It wasn't a participant in the storytelling.
Right.
Whereas this, there's like a moment towards the end of the episode where the Doctor is sort of inviting Amy on his travels, and Amy's like, no, he says something and she infers that he's lonely. And she's like, is that the only reason you want me to travel with you? Is because you're lonely? And the Doctor goes, yes. And it sort of like cuts to a side shot where you can see the crack in Amy's wall on the monitor of the TARDIS.
Right.
Thus implying that the mystery of the crack is the reason the Doctor is taking her with him.
Right.
That's a very minor example, but that's sort of what I mean by the filmmaking is improved as well.
Visual storytelling.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel... We've had moments of it in Doctor Who before, but it doesn't really feel like it's been a feature of Doctor Who before.
Well, they seem to have hit the sweet spot between pre-HD with the Russell T Davies era and what we've ended up with the Jodie Whittaker, Chris Chibnall era, which is like Broadchurch, stark, too cinematic for its own good in a way.
Yeah, where it looks good, the image fidelity is good, but also they're doing something with the episodes. They're not just using the fact that they're recording with cinema grade cameras as a crutch.
Yes.
You know?
It's not a student film.
No, it's certainly not that, yeah.
Okay, so it's that's so far the best companion introduction episode, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's something new.
It's something new.
We were talking about, I don't know which episodes or which series you mentioned it in, but you were sort of saying about, like, you asked why all of his companions come from modern day London.
Yeah.
And me and Eddie said, like, oh, that's a big criticism of the show. And even though Amy is a modern day companion, she's not from London, and we don't meet her, and she just does her thing and she's off with the Doctor. Like, it really does a great job of, like, imprinting the Doctor on her life. Like, it makes, by the end of that episode, it makes perfect sense that the two of them would travel space and time together.
Yes, and it's a good idea for a companion of meeting her as a child, and then like you said, it's sort of with her through her whole life. And it's sort of, when you see it, it's kind of baffling, because obviously we've said before that Moffat really likes playing with time.
Yes.
In the way that T. Davis never really did, or not to the same extent anyway.
No.
And when you see it, it's like, why have all the companions just been someone that he's met as an adult that then decides to go with him? Why haven't they done something like this before, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a very simple idea for an episode, but simple in a good way.
Yeah.
Rory's batting, isn't he?
He couldn't be batting more if he tried.
Karen Gillan, I liked her, right? I like her, the character. I like the performance. We'll get to Matt Smith, but she is occasionally distractingly attractive. It is occasionally.
I don't think it helps that they put her in a police uniform, like a deliberately skimpy police
that is very
uniform.
true.
It did not help.
Because I remember, wasn't that a criticism at the time that, like, she was too sexy or something?
Yeah, well,
like
there's episodes coming up as well, which I think garnered quite a few complaints because they leaned a bit too much into, like, the physicalness of a relationship between a companion and a Doctor.
We've talked before about being able to appreciate as just, you know...
Are you going to objectify Karen Gillan now?
No,
is that where this is going?
As horny geek boy, you know, men, we have before discussed how it's easier to appreciate an actress's performance if we don't find her physically attractive. I mean, that just seems kind of obvious anyway, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, but I mean, we've also had discussions about actresses who are very physically attractive that turn in such a good performance that you
transcending their beauty.
Yeah, it's not that you forget they're beautiful, but it doesn't become like a feature of that character.
Yes. Well, this isn't one of those performances. Not to say it's not a good performance, but it's not the kind of performance where it can elevate her above her looks. Do you know what I mean?
Right, okay.
So yeah, occasionally...
You're saying she's just too beautiful.
I'm saying that
She's ginger, I'm on board.
Yeah, occasionally it's a bit distracting.
Okay.
How good looking she is. Matt Smith is really good. I like him a lot.
Oh, thank God. we would have had a problem if you didn't like Matt Smith.
No, I do like Matt Smith. Problem is, Eccleston is so long ago now, I can't compare them even.
Right, okay.
I think I still prefer Eccleston. I think I do.
Okay.
But I do like Matt Smith a lot. This is what they used Olivia Colman for.
Yeah, right. So this is 2010.
Yeah. It's
Tyrannosaur was 2011. And I don't know if that was her big break, but that was certainly like... Yeah. Oh, it was her big break. Yeah. Okay, Tyrannosaur
her big break in terms of...
oh shit!
Being a dramatic
this girl's
actress.
Good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they didn't know. It's all right, a bit.
Yeah, at that point it would have been, let's that woman off Peep Show and Hot Fuzz. Let's get her.
Oh yeah, no, actually, she was in Peep Show. Yeah, like she wasn't like a bit part actress.
No, she was known, but yeah, she wasn't.
Yeah,
we didn't know what she could do at that point. You know?
Okay. Oh, in that case, at least make her.
Hadn't happened.
At least make her the main face of Prisoner Zero.
Yeah.
Rather than just Dude McBall or whatever
the next
he's called.
one. Yeah. It's not helped by the fact, because when you think of Olivia Colman, it comes in eras in a way. So like you've got Peep Show Olivia Colman, but the fact that she's got the Tyrannosaur hairdo, like that didn't, do you know what I mean? It's like, but this is next stage Olivia Colman. This is golden era.
It might even have been the next thing she did, Tyrannosaur.
She might have been filming it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that was a bit distracting.
Yes, especially since I've seen people, like when the idea of a female doctor had been floated before, I think Olivia Colman was one of the first people that...
Yeah.
One of the first actresses where people were like, oh, we want her. She'd be great for it.
Yeah.
And you had the Broadchurch connection with Chibnall as well. So, they end up reusing Peter Capaldi. Why the hell not reuse random comatose woman?
Yeah. You know? I mean, I suppose at this point she's an Oscar winner, isn't she? Like... She's not going to be doing Doctor Who, is she?
No, they certainly missed their chance with Doctor Who. But yeah, it is... I can't think... Maybe Stephen Fry from Series 12, but I can't think of a guest actor that they've wasted more than Olivia Colman.
There's another one in this season. Not as big a waste, but still, all things considered, a waste.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think we know who you're on about, so we'll get to him.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
It's a good... So, the big moment at the end where he confronts the Eye... It's a good reintroduction to the character, and I remember the first time I saw that years ago, I liked it. It's a little bit cringe on the rewatch.
Are you talking about basically Run?
Yeah.
Oh no, how dare you?
It's a bit cringe.
No.
It is a little bit, George.
Just a
why
little
is it
bit.
Cringe?
It just is. I don't know. It's just a bit...
I like the use of the faces, of the previous faces.
I like that
that's
a
very
lot.
well done.
And I like the sentiment. And I like the idea of him going, so basically... Maybe it's the music, I think, of him emerging from the faces.
How dare you criticise Murray Gold's music? We're now entering peak Murray Gold with Series 5 and like Matt Smith, Capaldi era. So how dare you criticise Murray's music?
The Doctor Who is always just like half a breath away from cringe at any given moment. It's got
absolutely,
to tread lightly.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't bad. It was just a little bit, a smidge of cringe, just a smidge of cringe.
No, you were being silly, Sam.
I'm not. It feels a little bit older. Like barring a few moments throughout the season, it does feel a little bit older.
In terms of who it's playing to, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you have like one of the first scenes with Matt Smith is really like slapsticky. It's that montage of... I think that's another thing I mean about like the quality of the filmmaking improved. You have like montages now. Like the show is edited more.
Yeah.
And it's not like Bohemian Rhapsody editing where it's just like constant editing for the sake of it. It's like, oh, we're going to have a scene where Matt Smith like, oh, food tastes weird. Like, how do we make that like kinetic and exciting and funny, you know?
Yeah.
But that's a very slapsticky, very youngish sort of scene. It
is. Maybe is the music of that ilk.
Also the music is very like like very it's like comical.
Maybe he just does it better than Tennant. I don't know. Because whenever that Tennant would do that sort of thing, it was just
right.
We'll talk about that a bit more actually, because it sort of feeds into another point I've got later on.
Okay.
But that's sort of all I got to say about this episode.
Okay.
I liked it a lot.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And you asked at the end of the last series, like, are you ready for a reboot? Are you ready?
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much I wanted it as soon as it started.
Oh, right. Okay.
Like, oh, good. Yeah. Like restarting, we're kind of after the run of specials.
Yes.
It is nice
it's definitely
reset,
breath of fresh air. I I'd always maintained that the 11th Hour was my favourite episode of Doctor Who.
Okay.
I think I'm going to stick by that.
You prefer it to Blink?
I prefer it to Blink.
Oh, well, that's mental.
Blink is a hell of a contender.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
It's a hell of a contender.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was watching this episode again. I was just like, oh yeah, it's just so
Okay.
I love this.
It's good, but it's no Blink.
Here's the, like Blink. Okay, Blink was as remarkable as it is.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's a filler episode. In the context of Series 3, it doesn't really have a place in you could have put it in Series 2, Series 8. It could have gone anywhere, you know?
Yeah.
All it really had to do was be a good episode, and it did it remarkably.
Yeah, but don't you find that often the best episodes of most series are ones that work in isolation?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm not disputing that at all.
Yeah.
The point I'm making is that was Blink's one job. Just be a good episode of Doctor Who, and it passed that test with flying colours. The 11th Hour had to be a good episode of Doctor Who. It had to introduce a new Doctor, new companion, new tone, new style. It had to basically, like, after the Russell T Davies era and after David Tennant, like Russell T Davies, who at the time was like a celebrated showrunner, and David Tennant, who at the time was like a celebrated doctor, there was like a whole group of people who stopped watching the show purely because David Tennant wasn't in it anymore.
Right.
Like, they weren't even going to give Matt Smith the time of day. And it had to overcome that hurdle. And I think, again, it does it. The 11th Hour does it brilliantly. And the thing I love about it as well is it's so unapologetic. It's not trying to, like, you know, oh, I know you miss David Tennant, but you give Matt Smith a chance. It's like, no, this is Matt Smith. This is Doctor Who now.
Yeah.
It's so confident in its presentation. Blink has that sort of, like, that elusive quality of television and film as well, where it sort of has it's not charged in any direction. It doesn't feel like it's pandering to the audience. It doesn't feel like it's snarky. It doesn't feel like it's confident. It doesn't feel like it's trying too hard. It's like Parasite in a sense, where it just kind of is, you know?
Effortless, yeah.
It's effortless, yes. And the 11th Hour is not effortless, but it's confident.
Yeah.
And it's not cocky. And I think that is a very, very good thing for a show to be.
I won't deny its confidence. And its execution. I just think on a script level, I suppose, Blink is kind of perfect.
Yes, and Blink is more obviously better written.
Yeah, and it's self-contained as well, isn't it? That's a big part of it. The 11th Hour is a good start, you know?
Absolutely. It's not perfect.
No, it's not perfect.
A couple of imperfections I will quickly highlight because, you know, I've sucked its dick long enough. I feel it's only fair to throw a couple of things out there. Prisoner Zero looks a bit crap.
Oh, in its true form.
Yes, when it's that, like, snake, whatever the hell it is, like snake eel.
Yeah, that's one hurdle they haven't quite overcome yet, is it?
Yeah, this series in general, it does, like, the ambient CG a lot better when it's just sort of like the background. It's a bit ropey in Hungry Earth, Cold Blood. We'll get to all that. But the fully CGI creatures, Prisoner Zero included, they still haven't got their head around that yet. I don't think.
They haven't,
still looks a bit crap.
Yeah.
And it looked crap at the time. And also the problem, I think, with Prisoner Zero in his true form is I understand the premise of Prisoner Zero, like it being this shape-shifting creature that needs like a psychic link to its to the person it's copying, which is why that person has to be in a coma.
Yeah.
I get all of that. But when it's in its snake form, I don't really know how the creature operates.
Physically.
Yeah, because it always seems to be hanging from the ceiling, which is a weird detail.
Yeah.
But also just like, I don't know if Prisoner Zero in his true form is intelligent. I don't know if it's like a feral beast. I don't know.
Yeah.
Basically, the Weeping Angels, you understand them completely.
Yes.
You know, they're hunters, and you understand the method in which they hunt perfectly. Prisoner Zero, I'm still not entirely sure how he operates and what sort of creature he is.
Whatever the plot needed.
Yeah, there's a bit of that.
I think it's a function, isn't it, of, like you said, it had to do all those things. It's the same with the mannequins. It's like, it doesn't really matter in this episode what the villain is.
Well, the difference is the Autons were a classic villain, so there was some groundwork that they were building on, whereas Prisoner Zero is a completely original
but
concept.
that, you know, the principle that the villain doesn't... it's not what matters in this episode. It's we need a threat.
Yeah.
Let's just do a thing. And then, but it's really, we need to do all these other things, you know?
Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was going to say is I think the structure and the pace of this episode is brilliant. Right. Considering that it's longer than most episodes. It's about an hour long, I think.
Yeah.
Considering that it's longer as well, you don't feel its length. The only thing I would change, I would get rid of the pre-title teaser with Matt Smith. where it picks up immediately after the end of time, where Matt Smith is in the crashing TARDIS.
Yes, that's a bit goofy.
I think the episode would benefit massively from starting outside of Amelia's house. So you sort of meet Matt Smith as soon as she meets Matt Smith.
Yeah, totally.
I think that just would have been a cleaner way of introducing that character.
Yeah.
Rather than this weird, like, he's just after David Tennant and he's in the TARDIS and it's goofy.
And it's doing what the teaser is supposed to, isn't it? It's really trying to grab you with action.
Yes.
But yeah, I agree. It would have been better. It would have felt cleaner as well.
It would have felt cleaner.
Yeah.
And also I think like it would have been a little bit into the episode, but I think when after you've had that scene with Matt Smith where he's like eating all of the food and he ends up with fish fingers and custard.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You're not scared, are you, Amelia?" And she's like, "No." And he's like, "Well, you know what I think? I think that must be a hell of a scary crack in your wall.
Yeah.
If you're not scared of all this."
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have been a great moment to go to credits.
Yeah. That did make me gag.
Oh, did it?
Fish fingers and custard.
Oh, right. I thought you meant that line.
Yeah, not yeah.
Okay. And I'm pretty sure that was actually fish fingers and custard he was eating.
It was.
Yeah.
Matt Smith legitimately likes fish fingers and custard, and I have to say it isn't as bad as you think.
Oh,
It's
it definitely
weird.
is. It definitely is.
Why have you tried it, Eddie?
It is weird,
Right.
But I ate it during uni.
Purely, that's a uni thing, isn't it?
Purely, but after having rewatched that episode at the time.
Okay.
So I ate it with a friend of mine, and I was like, "Oh, it's not bad." But then when I was in school, I used to have cold custard and salt and vinegar Pringles, and think that tasted
let's
quite
move
nice.
on.
So
God.
I'm going to be sick onto the screen.
So yeah, 11th Hour, obviously massive thumbs up for me. It's my favourite episode of Doctor Who.
Okay.
I'm just going to make it known.
Right, okay. It's a thumbs up.
yes.
Okay, good.
Do you want to hear my alternate titles?
Oh yeah, go for it.
I think the 11th Hour is one of those ones that, that's what I would have gone with had I thought of it. The 11th Hour seems about right.
Yeah, it's sort of the perfect title.
Yeah. My titles for this season are substantially weaker than they have been before.
Because the legitimate titles are better in quality, or because...
Oh, no.
Okay.
There's the odd one, where it's like, I would stick with that, but mostly, like Vincent and the Doctor is a fucking shit title.
Right,
I know
okay.
why it's called that. But, no, it just felt like I had to try harder. I will say the more we got into the season, fatigue did start to develop a little bit.
Okay.
So maybe I was sort of trying less, to think of a good title.
Right.
But this one's probably the worst. I think my options are Ponds 11 rather than Oceans 11.
Oh, God.
Fatal Atraxie and Flower of Scotland, and that's the one I would have gone with because you've got Moffat and Karen Gillan being introduced. So I would have gone with Flower of Scotland.
I'm going to stick with 11th Hour if it's all the same to you.
I concede that one. I would stick with the 11th Hour.
Okay.
The Beast Below.
Yes, okay.
So there's some more traumatizing children.
Yes.
Moffat is definitely a big fan of that.
Yes, he is.
So the Doctor fucked Elizabeth first then?
Yeah.
Because that comes up a few times.
Okay, well, yeah, that's an interesting point, actually. It might be a note I've made later for like a later episode. As we'll discuss as well in Flesh and Stone, they seem to be not deliberately not sexualizing Matt Smith in any way.
Yeah.
Like he almost seems oblivious to the notion of sex in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they've got lines like that where it's like, "Oh, you fucked Elizabeth I, you bad boy," and like really sexy, kind of like
Virgin Queen. Yeah, right.
Like, "Oh, you crushed puss, Matt Smith."
Yeah.
And then you see Matt Smith, and he's just like, "Sex? Oh no, get it away from me."
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird. I don't know why they did that.
Obviously, it calls back to them running away from her, doesn't it? In the Shakespeare Ode. Is that the one?
Shakespeare Code.
Yeah.
Ode was the title that the chapter title.
Yes, it was. Okay. Yeah, I like Matt Smith. I like Karen Gillan. It's a good concept. The Queen being who she is. Star Whale, Britain as a starship. I like all that stuff.
Yeah.
I really like the comparison they draw between the Doctor and the whale.
Yes, I really like that. I think this is an episode that I like better on paper than in execution. Really, the point of this episode is, in the 11th Hour, it firmly established why Amy would want to travel with the Doctor.
Yeah.
This episode is kind of about Amy proving herself to the Doctor as to why she should be a permanent companion.
Yeah.
And I like that the way they do that is she basically proves to him that she understands him.
Yeah.
Like, that's how she saves the day. She draws that parallel between the Star Whale and the Doctor.
Yeah, I thought that was just a really nice kind of resolution to it, talking about that,
Yeah.
So am I right? I think at the end of this episode, he gets the call from Churchill, right?
Yes.
Right. How time works relative to that phone call? Is that just a don't think about it? Because
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Well, no. Do they sort of address it? Like in the Pandorica Opens? Because Churchill calls River Song in the Pandorica Opens, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I think there's like a throwaway line about, oh, the TARDIS is smart.
Yeah.
It can like connect phone calls that need to be made or something like that. I mean, like we've already had like Rose, Martha, Donna, they've been able to call their families on their mobile phones when they're like billions of years apart, you know?
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense.
I know what you're saying. If Churchill is calling the Doctor in 1940, why doesn't the Doctor receive that phone call in 1940?
Or just whenever he is, you know. But that's obviously I don't think about it.
It is a complete.
I don't know. Is the idea that like if Churchill and the Doctor part ways, and then 2 months later Churchill makes a phone call, 2 months later in Matt Smith's time, he would receive the phone call.
Yeah, maybe.
That's the only way I can see it working. Because otherwise you do just be like, oh fuck, get away from me, you know?
Yeah. That's kind of all I got to say about this one.
Yeah, it's an alright episode.
I said that like if this is I suspect it's forgettable in the grand scheme of things. But if this is what forgettable is, we're kind of laughing.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the smilers, the things in the booths that like rotate. They had those at the Doctor Who experience, like when that was a thing.
Right.
Where you could sort of like walk up to them and like you could walk up to the booth and look at the booth and stuff. And they are genuinely effective in person as well.
Right.
Even though it wasn't doing its, you know, head rotatey thing. Just seeing it in the booth, you're like, oh no, I don't like that.
Yeah, they were pretty good villains. All told, a thumbs up.
Okay.
I did quite like it. It's not a bad title as well, but I have, of course, come up with alternatives.
Of course you have.
So we've got Starship Snoopers,
right.
United Kingdom. My like sincere one is The Last and the Kind. So instead of The Last of its kind, The Last and the Kind.
That's not bad. I kind of like that.
And RSPC Alien. That's the other one. But yeah, probably go with The Last and the Kind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Victory of the Daleks.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is a Gatiss penned episode.
It is another period Gatiss episode.
Yeah, not in the same fashion because it doesn't revel in its period as much as the other ones have.
No,
like it's kind of half blighty, blitzy, Churchill-y, and half really not that. You know.
Yeah.
But it's still a Gatiss. What's the name of the bloke who plays Churchill?
Ian McNeice.
Yes.
He's all right. He's kind of. It's sort of a Churchill cosplay more than an actual performance, but that's kind of all it needed to be.
I like Churchill. I like Ian McNeice's Churchill.
But it is just doing a Churchill, isn't it? You know, it's not John Lithgow in The Crown.
Right.
It's just having two chins and talking like that, you know.
Well, yeah, that's what Churchill was.
But that's not. But that is just like a fancy dress version of Churchill.
Okay.
But like I said, it's all it needed to be, so that's not a criticism.
Yeah, I kind of like that they've sort of got like a little bit of a bromance, the Doctor and Churchill.
Yeah, I quite like that relationship.
I don't feel like we've seen that before, where a Doctor sort of has like a pre-existing relationship with a historical figure.
Only the Virgin Queen.
Apart from that.
Yeah.
But even then, that's sort of implied. That's not like deliberately addressed. It's always like you go to a place and you meet them for the first time. The fact that he's already like buddy with Churchill.
Yeah, which
like,
makes sense. Because like, Churchill, you know, one of the most famous figures of history, arguably. So
yes,
they would have crossed paths many a time, you'd think.
Yeah. And he probably would have liked him as well, given that the Doctor's always hanging around London.
Yeah, they're both British institutions, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, how's a Dalek making tea? Explain that to me. I know I can hold it, but how the fuck's a Dalek making a cuppa? Explain that one to me.
I think that's just the general problem with the Daleks, isn't it? Whenever like the Daleks show up and we've built this crucible.
Yeah.
How did you build a thing, you know?
But you can sort of write that off as, well, I don't know how you build a crucible, so I don't really know how they would have done it. Whereas making tea, I'm picturing a Dalek making tea, and it's not a pretty picture. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
It's just knocking shit over. Scalding itself, you know.
No, you attach. So they put the suction cup on the kettle.
Oh yeah, it's got a little whisk, isn't it? It'll just whisk the tea.
Suction cup on the kettle.
Right.
Lift it up to use that to pour it.
It's just rotating into the mug.
That suction cup will rotate.
How is it putting a tea bag into a cup?
So it picks it up with the suction cup and drops it in the mug.
Milk?
Picks up the carton with the suction cup and drops it in the mug.
So it just has a...
That's your answer for everything, isn't it, Eddie? The fucking suction cup.
Yeah.
You suction slut.
You and that suction cup, Eddie. That's a real problem.
Wow.
So what? They have like a grabber that just sucks in anything they want to pick up.
Yeah.
I guess,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Still, I feel because it takes.
You're not supposed to think about the mechanics of a Daleks making tea. You're supposed to enjoy when the Dalek asks whether people want some tea.
Yes.
You're supposed to enjoy the domesticated Daleks.
I know I'm supposed to enjoy that, but the fact is, I mean, you're going to, aren't you? Don't when the Dalek wanders off, aren't you then thinking, how is he going to make a cup of tea?
No, I think come back, domesticated Dalek. I
okay,
want
maybe
more of your
that's-
tomfoolery.
Maybe that's the fundamental difference then between our viewing experiences.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, I mean, because it takes him an average human amount of time, and I just feel like it would at least take longer when you count for all the spillages and short circuitry, you know.
If you want to talk about like details, like minute details not working, I like that the World War II Daleks have like little bags covering over their lights, their ear lights,
Right.
Presumably so like the lights don't light up and attract the enemy's attention.
Okay.
But aren't the Daleks just like loud as fuck anyway?
Yeah.
So if that is for like stealth purposes, you know, it's not going to do much good if the Dalek is like barking orders or
Yeah.
whatever.
Plus, at the point the episode's depicting, aren't we? We're done with the hiding, aren't we? I mean, it's like full scale aerial.
Oh yeah, war is kind of
warfare.
happening. Yeah,
We're on, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, the Doctor definitely feels angrier than he has before.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah, and I think I think he does it well. Matt Smith does a lot well. I don't want to just evolve into saying yes, Matt Smith does this thing well.
Yeah, no, he does do
he
this
does.
well. Because, like I said, when Tennant would get serious, I'd snort a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't as much with Matt Smith.
Is that because, like with David Tennant, I think a lot of people sort of had an idea of David Tennant going into the Doctor. You in particular as well, because you've seen his career after Doctor Who as well. But Matt Smith hasn't really done anything since Doctor Who, and he did
The
basically
Crown.
nothing before.
Oh, so yeah, I mean,
Other than The Crown, but like we don't have the same like catalogue of Matt Smith than we do with David Tennant.
I've probably seen more Matt Smith in other things than I have in Doctor Who.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe that's the case for me more than it is for
Okay.
you. But just like I don't have like my only real exposure to Matt Smith is through Doctor Who,
Yeah.
so he is just that character rather than this actor I know portraying this character.
Yes, and your age probably when you first saw it.
Yeah, that as well, I imagine.
Keep buggering on.
Yes.
The maxim of the gay community in the 80s, of course.
Oh no.
In defiance of AIDS. You know what? Keep buggering on.
Okay.
That's all I got to say about this one.
Oh, okay.
It's the weakest Gatus episode, in my opinion.
Oh, I quite liked it on the rewatch.
Did you? What did you
Yeah,
like
I
about
thought it was quite fun. Fun little episode. I don't like the new Paradigm Daleks.
The multicolored Daleks?
Yeah, they're a bit shit.
I like
No,
those.
they're not good. The base
I do
boosted
like those.
rainbow Daleks, and they look like they have hunchbacks. It's not a good design.
I just like
the
Power Rangers of Daleks.
The only virtue of that design is that they are bigger and bulkier, so they're more imposing. But yeah, whatever that like vent that they've put on the back of them, it looks like they've got a hunchback.
Right.
They've got this like rainbow bullshit going on.
Yeah.
And the voice is so bassy. It does literally sound like
Right.
they've bass boosted them. It's so bassy. Yeah, I don't like them. And I is it a spoiler, Eddie, to sort of say that what happens to them?
well, I can't remember what happens to him.
Well, nothing happens to them.
We see him again.
Is that the spoiler?
Yeah.
Right. But that's become the trend with Doctor Who now.
What do
They
you mean?
introduce the thing and then nothing ever comes of it.
Yeah, but it feels particularly noticeable with the Daleks. Like they've deliberately set up this new paradigm of Daleks. Where it's like, the drone.
Paradigm.
Right. Okay. Sorry.
No.
But yeah, like
I just want to quickly jump in. I don't usually correct. I'm not that much of a dickhead where I will correct people misspeaking.
Right.
But I just felt like you were going to say it a lot more. And I didn't want you to.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
go on.
That's fair enough. Yeah, but they've deliberately set up like, this is the drone, this is the scientist, this is the Eternal, and they're
Yeah.
color coded so you can deliberately tell them apart.
Mhm.
And then that's it. Like they sort of bring back the old Daleks after that. We
Okay.
don't really see them now and again, but they're always just like in the background.
Maybe they introduced it and then just thought, actually.
Yeah.
Like it's not. It just didn't work,
Yeah, exactly.
So they course corrected. But
I like domesticated Daleks are fun, and it's nice that Moffat seems to be like cleaning house a little bit. Like he seems to be doing a really good job of just like knowing what needs to be done. You got the 11th hour, which is like introducing the Doctor and the companion. The second episode is sort of establishing the reason why this companion is important to the Doctor and why she's worthy of traveling with the Doctor. And then his next port of call is to basically reboot the Daleks.
Yeah.
We can't keep doing, oh, this is the last Dalek. This is the last of the Daleks. This is the final thing of the Daleks. Like, no. The Daleks are just back. They just do a thing that allows them to basically start over.
Yeah.
So now we can potentially do infinite Dalek stories, you know? You don't have to keep buying this Last of the Daleks bullshit.
You never do, though, you know?
I know you do, but it's nice that, like, he was like, no, I want to...
so you never do.
I want to give myself room to breathe with the Daleks, you know?
Yeah.
What's up, you podcast listening sons of bitches? 'Tis I, Future I, once again. Don't know what happened to Sam's audio here. Maybe it's further proof that the laptop was just fucking with us. But it basically bass boosted his audio into oblivion, and it was completely unusable. The audio does quickly rectify itself, but for the next couple of minutes, Sam's audio is going to have to be dubbed over, just so you know why there's a sudden change.
Was there anything else you had to say about it?
Yeah, I have one more point. The editing felt a little bit off in this episode. I don't know if either of you noticed that.
No.
I don't know how, it just felt like they were cutting away from shots just a little bit too late, and there were silences that were lasting a little bit longer than they should have.
Right.
Like, when the Doctor first meets Churchill, and Churchill's like, oh, I want the key.
Yeah.
And the Doctor's like, like, there's that moment where they're sort of like, I know what you want, Churchill, you bloody rascal, you.
Yeah.
That feels very slow compared to, like, the episodes that have come before. The interaction feels a bit like, you know, stop and start.
Okay.
And there's moments as well, like when Danny Boy is circling back to attack the Dalek ship. It's sort of like, he's like, Danny Boy to the Doctor, I'm going in for another round. And then there's sort of like there's like a couple of seconds where it's just sort of hanging on that shot of Danny Boy.
Right.
And then it cuts into the TARDIS, and there's a couple of seconds of Matt Smith just sort of standing there before he responds to Danny Boy.
Right.
I only really noticed it in this episode, but it just felt like, I don't know whether they were trying to sort of pad the runtime a little bit. It's like, oh, we're like 2 minutes short, let's like cut a little later to get that timing back up.
Yeah.
But it just felt a little bit off, the editing.
Okay.
But other than that, I thought it was a fun little episode. I would recommend it. What would you?
Broadly, I'd give it a thumbs up, yeah.
Yeah. Do you recommend it, Eddie?
It's alright. It's not my favourite use of the Dalek.
No, it's certainly not.
But it was a little bit different.
Yeah, and again, like I said, I like the idea of the episode, that it's sort of like, right, let's sort out the Daleks, you know?
Okay. So my alternate titles? I've got The Rainbow Coalition.
Yeah.
Colors Out of Space, which I quite like.
I see the angle you've taken with these titles.
Ha ha ha. No, it's just those two.
Okay.
Union Crack.
Right.
And the most accurate, D-Day, I think I quite like.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
I
like that one.
Okay, so I think we should talk about the next episodes as one.
Okay, all right. So the Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone.
Yes.
This is all going to be one discussion. Okay, all right.
So it's quite a weird context for the angels to reappear, but I like it. But it is unusual.
Well, it's sort of, I remember seeing something that said that Moffat, obviously when he took over as showrunner, one of the first things he wanted to do was bring the Weeping Angels back, because they're his baby as well. It's not just, oh, it's a popular monster I can reference. It's like, oh, it's my creation. I can work with that.
Yeah.
And I think the angle he took, he said he sort of drew inspiration from Alien. So if Blink was Alien, the Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone is Aliens, if that makes sense.
Well, I feel quite clever then, because that's one of my notes.
Oh shit! All right, okay.
I wrote, it's the aliens to Blink's Alien.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he wanted.
Yeah. Well, yes. So it's a much more action-heavy variant as opposed to the more horror-inflected Blink.
Which I suppose is nice, because there are moments in this episode in which the angels are still effective as a horror villain.
Yeah.
But I don't know if like doing a horror two-parter with the angels would sort of get a bit tiresome towards the end.
Yeah.
The horror would kind of wane away. So it's sort of nice to get ahead of the curve in that respect.
Yeah. Is it Southern Down?
Yes.
Okay.
We should start tallying when Southern Down shows up, because they use it a lot. I think we've already seen it like 4 or 5 times in the show.
Okay. Is it used for the Rose Doctor goodbye?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And I think it's been used on a different occasion as well. But yes, It shows up in this episode, and it will show up in many more.
Okay.
That's one spoiler I'll give away.
Well, his anger is much more palatable and believable in
Yes.
this incarnation, definitely. Yeah, I was watching it. I was definitely happier, like with the
Okay.
experience of watching it. So it feels like there's overall less to say, but it's slickness may account for that.
Okay.
Because the hodgepodgeness is gone. It feels less messy.
Yes.
And so maybe as a result, it feels like there's less to talk about. But I was definitely, at this point in the season, more content watching it.
Okay.
But seeing them move is a bad call.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Flesh and Stone, in particular, kind of ruins the Weeping Angels, I think.
A little bit.
Yeah. I really like the way that they used in Time of Angels, the first part. I think the scene with Amy in the little truck or whatever it is, where she's looking at the footage of the angel.
Yes.
Yeah, that was probably the last scene that I was legitimately scared of the Weeping Angels.
Right.
Bear in mind, obviously, I was like 15, I think, when this episode aired, or something like that.
That's not a child, is it? That's like...
I didn't say I was a child. I said it was the last time I was legitimately scared
but
of them.
that's what that justification was there. You're like, it's the last time I was scared of them. Bear in mind, I was 15.
I didn't say it with shame, though, Sam. You added the shame in the
Right.
recital of that bit. No, they were genuinely scary, and it's a really scary idea. And I like the idea of the one defense mechanism you have against the Weeping Angel is you have to look at it.
Yeah.
But even looking at it is deadly, because it can sort of climb inside your mind. And because the image of an angel is an angel, the memory of the Weeping Angel itself becomes a Weeping Angel. That's terrifying. Like, the one defense mechanism you have against this creature is now a weapon that this creature can use.
Right.
I think that's a really effective idea. But the Weeping Angels, like, snapping people's necks and sort of reanimating portions of their consciousness.
Yeah.
And the Weeping Angels moving while they're in their stone form.
Yeah.
And the implication that the Weeping Angels can sort of control. Like, if the Weeping Angels can control when they turn to stone, then surely the angels at the end of Blink were never defeated.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, the way they show them moving in Blink is like stop motion, effectively, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, it's like they're there, then they're there, then they're there. And it's just really quick, but you don't actually see them move.
Yeah, you never see them physically move. You just, like, when the lights come on, they're in a different position.
Yeah, and when you see the head turn in this episode, it's felt really wrong. I mean, because the graphics are a little bit ropey.
Well, you say that. That's like a physical actor. That's not a CG effect.
No. There's a moment where the head turns, and that's definitely not an actor.
No.
Or there's at least CG augmentation, definitely.
Maybe just to sort of get the speed of it right.
To smooth it out, yeah.
Yeah, but the Weeping Angels, they do have a couple of statues, but if you look at the behind-the-scenes stuff, the Weeping Angels are physical actors.
Okay.
Which is one of the things that are so impressive about them, is that it's all basically makeup.
Okay, but there's definitely... I think the very first moment you see one kind of turn, it felt a bit iffy.
Okay.
Yeah, so obviously we're talking about this as a whole now, both parts. It's a weird ending. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with that ending. With him and Amy in her bedroom.
Yes, yeah.
That's really misjudged, I think.
I don't know whether that's supposed to... you said that in Smith & Jones, you liked that they sort of promised that there wasn't going to be a romantic thing between Martha and the Doctor. They go on to break it, but you liked the fact that promise was implemented.
Yeah.
Maybe this is Stephen Moffat's promise. Like, it's not going to be Amy and the Doctor in love. It's going to be something else.
Maybe, but it just after that episode, I don't know what the thinking was there.
Okay.
Maybe like, because we just had this horrible death-defying experience, the relief of it is gonna sort of propel it, but
yeah.
It just, a prerequisite for companions seems to be contempt for monogamy, doesn't it?
What?
A prerequisite for companions.
Yeah, no, what do you mean by that?
Well, they all have boyfriends, and they all instantly don't care about them anymore.
Okay.
It's all kissing the Doctor, falling in love with the Doctor.
That sort of becomes the thrust of the season, though, doesn't it? It's sort of like we've taken the time to get to know Amy and the Doctor. Now we're going to introduce Rory, which is next episode.
Yeah.
Like, properly introduce Rory, and then that sort of becomes what the rest of the season is. It's the relationship,
kind of.
The triangle of the Doctor, Rory, and Amy.
It can never outright be. They kind of did it with Donna. There's nothing here romantic. They haven't really done that yet, and I don't know. It's like fidelity is lacking in Doctor Who companions. It's like you can't just get a bloke that's not gay. Maybe that will solve the problem.
Well, I mean, Amy makes it clear that like it's just sex. She just wants sex.
That's still infidelity.
No, it's still infidelity, but it's not like she's romantically invested in the Doctor now. She's like, no, I just want to fuck because I nearly died.
That doesn't mitigate my critique.
It also doesn't hold up after that episode.
How so?
Because she definitely has a thing for him.
Does she?
She
it does
she
recur a
does
couple of
you know
times.
she does allude to the idea of the fact that Rory 100% thinks that she wants the Doctor, and she is like, well, yeah.
Yeah, it does come up a couple of times.
I don't know.
I mean, that's sort of it. It's a good two-parter. I liked it.
Yep.
The ending is a bit not good. But no, I did. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Even with the demolition of Weeping Angel's lore.
Yeah, still got Blink.
Yeah, we still got Blink. That yeah. Whenever we have a Weeping Angels episode from here on out, it's like, oh well, we've got Blink.
Yeah, exactly. Are there more Weeping Angel episodes?
Well,
there obviously are. You'd say no if it was no, so there obviously are.
Are there?
Yeah, I don't know if there are. It might be.
Jord, you gotta remember who you're talking to.
I say, no, the fact is, Jord's response was, oh yes, there are, and I legitimately don't remember anymore, so that's interesting.
Oh, okay. All right. I won't say any more about it then.
But there are more though. They turn up again.
Well, I won't say any more about it.
Again,
Okay.
remember who you're talking to, someone who doesn't care about the series. It's not
Oh shit! Yeah,
it's not
okay.
spoiler
I've just remembered where they
Yeah,
show up.
Eddie's just remembered. Yeah,
Alright, they come back then.
yeah.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Eddie, what do you think about this two-parter?
I like the first half.
Yeah.
I don't particularly care for the second part, but as badly misjudged as that ending is, I 100% would have just gone for it and said, "Fuck it, let's shag a ginger."
Yeah, he's clearly not human.
He didn't fuck Karen Killen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What do we think of River Song? Because River Song is also returns in this episode.
I mean, I like her in general.
Yeah, I
so-
don't dislike the character.
Okay.
I'm kind of ambivalent about her, I suppose.
Okay.
I don't have an
Well, that's
opinion
that
about
then.
her, you know?
You will form an opinion of her. That's all I will say.
Okay.
Yeah, because Moffat's sort of. I mean, they basically say at the end of the episode, and she does return later in the season. River Song is sort of like another, like a returning character as well through Matt
Yeah.
Smith's tenure. So she's kind of here to stay. But are you? Does that disappoint you? Are you upset that River Song is here to stay?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why I phrased it like that.
I
I think I'm trying to get.
I know.
I'm trying to get something out of you.
I know. I don't. You got to remember. I do not have any emotional investment in any of this stuff.
Right.
So there's nothing like I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about this. I dislike. There's not much in the way of that. You know what I mean? Unfortunately,
Okay.
it is just. Was this a good episode? So when you're asking me like, what are your feelings about this companion? I rarely have feelings about the show. It's thoughts about the show. You know.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, she's okay. River Song is okay.
All right.
Decent character, but I have no feelings towards her.
Okay. All right. Okay. A couple of minor things. According to the Doctor, we are facing an enemy of unknown evil. That's what Father Octavian says to one of the characters. Are the angels evil? Would you call the Weeping Angels evil?
Well,
I mean, in this, they snap your neck, partially reanimate your soul, and then make you talk to people.
Yeah, no, in this instance, they do perform more kind of overtly villainous actions. But prior to this, like the Weeping Angels were just kind of scavengers. They were just hunters, weren't they? I wouldn't have called them evil.
no,
Blink.
I mean, well, what I find interesting, if I'm remembering correctly, is in this episode, the Doctor says something like, we're dealing with the most evil beings ever created, or something like that. The evolution ever evolved.
Something like that,
But
yeah.
he says basically exactly the same thing about the Daleks in the preceding episode.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, just hot on the heels of that, I remember thinking, oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the angels, I never got the sense that they were malevolent. It's more just,
No.
it's how they feed. It's just part of their ecosystem, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they're clearly clever,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, they are just kind of animals, in a sense. In a way.
I guess that's probably a function of the success of Blink, and, you know, it's their popularity with the fans. And so when we bring them back, they have to be the ultimate evil. Because, yeah, in this two-parter, they torment him.
Yes, that they're deliberately trying to antagonize the
Yeah.
Doctor.
So, just so you know, he died in agony, you know.
Yeah.
You meant to go, oh, right, okay. Yeah, they're fucking evil. But yeah, that was definitely absent from Blink. So that's either a function of they were so popular that when we bring them back, they've got to be the ultimate evil, or in trying to expand their mythology, that was kind of the only way of doing it, you know, of making them a bit more malevolent. But
Yeah, I'm not going to say that it was a misunderstanding of the Weeping Angels, because Moffat created the Weeping Angels. So
Yeah.
ultimately, who are we to say that he misunderstood his own creation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely feel like the angels being evil, that was not apparent from their first appearance. You know?
Yeah.
And also they're kind of like, again, kind of with Prisoner Zero, I never really knew whether the angels were like this, like you say, like these malevolent beings. I mean, this is a spoiler, but you're never going to watch it. Like in Class, which is a spin-off of Doctor Who that started during Capaldi's run, there's like a running threat throughout the series, or there's sort of the idea or implication that there are these like beings that are sort of like responsible for all of the monsters that are showing up, and they're sort of controlling everything from behind the scenes. And that's revealed to be the Weeping Angels. Right. And that feels like a complete misuse of the villain.
Yeah, I think it's part of it is inflation as well, of like, you have Blink, and let's just go with the Matrix as comparison. You have that idea, and you have 4 of them, right? So it's this neat little horror idea sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then we've got thousands of them, and they're an army, you know, and yeah, I get what he's trying to do with the aliens thing. But then the Matrix Reloaded, you've got Keanu Reeves fighting the Infinite Smiths. Like, within the lore of that universe, it makes complete sense. There's like, you've jumped the shark a little bit here.
Yes,
You've
exactly.
run with the concept when you already kind of nailed it. You didn't need to... I mean, I guess it would have been weird not to see the Weeping Angels again, but he sort of nailed it on the first take. You know what I mean? It's like, you sort of did that
exactly.
the best it could be done, so... But we'll see for the next appearance, I guess.
Okay. The other thing as well, low-level perception filter or not, if you're in a maze, if you're being hunted by murderous statues, and you're in a labyrinth full of statues honouring a 2-headed race, and the statues don't have 2 heads, I feel like you notice a lot quicker than the Doctor and River do.
Yes, it's not gonna occur to you when it's convenient for the plot.
No, it's not.
It's gonna be readily.
You got to immediately notice. Oh shit, we're in a maze of murderous statues.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. Okay. So my alternate titles for this took me a while, because obviously you've got like the militarized priests, you've got the angels, you've got.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's like a detail, isn't it?
I know but the fact that it's just a detail is kind of interesting as well.
Yeah, I think that was a neat little thing of like, we'll have soldiers, and because they're angels, wouldn't it be cool if it was priests versus angels? And so.
Also, isn't there a character in Alien called Bishop?
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
So I don't know whether that's sort of like a reference, maybe.
Very probably.
Yeah.
I think it'd be unusual if it wasn't. Yeah, so because you've got the angels, the priests, and like almost like a Garden of Eden style thing, this Oasis or whatever. I was trying to think of a good religious title for the episode. So it took me a while, but this is where I ended up. So
Jesus Wept?
No, it's not Jesus Wept.
His Weeping Angels?
So there's a quote, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. And then at one point, Father Octavian says, brothers, we are treading where the saints have trod. So for that, I've gone with Where Angels Tread as a possible title.
Yeah, all right.
And are you familiar with Onward Christian Soldiers? The song Onward Christian Soldiers? No. Okay. Well, obviously they are Christian soldiers. And I was looking up the lyrics for that, and it references this through countless ages, men and angels sing. And at the very end of the song, it mentions this is our triumph song. And especially with River Song in it, I'm going to call it the triumph song.
Which episode now?
Both. So it'd be part 1, part 2. I would just name the whole thing.
Oh, I see. Okay. The Triumph Song or Where Angels Tread.
Yeah. And then the weaker ones were Between Men and Angels. So I thought that was pretty good. Like the Doctor is Between Men and Angels.
Okay.
Prey, obvious.
Yes.
And Hell Sent. But yeah, I would go with Where Angels Tread or
okay. All right.
the Triumph Song. Thumbs up.
Okay. All right.
So the Vampires of Venice.
Yes.
Yep. Bit whacking it.
I didn't hate it.
I
don't remember liking the episode when it first aired.
Yeah.
Because it sort of felt like it was getting into, we're just sort of in the season now. Episodes are just kind of happening.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have many expectations going into this episode. But it was better than I remember it being.
Oh, okay.
I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to.
Okay. It's probably just because it's a climb down. It just feels significantly less substantial.
It does, but it's sort of... It sort of has a definitive place in the season where it's sort of like this is now the introduction of Rory, the secondary companion.
Well, this one I would say is where I first started to think this feels pitched a little bit older.
Okay.
It also occurred to me that maybe the best way of thinking about Doctor Who from Tennant to Smith, it's like going from Chamber of Secrets to Prisoner of Azkaban, isn't it? That's really what it feels like.
Oh, that might be a decent way of doing it. Yeah.
Even the way it looks, everything really.
Yeah.
It does feel like an episode that's inspired by a title. The Vampires of Venice. Like, oh, that's a good title. Let's do that as an episode. You know, it did feel like they arrived at that after the idea. Would you agree with that? Two V's, they'll do it?
No, not entirely.
Okay, you think they came up with the idea of Vampires in Venice and then came up with the title The Vampires of Venice?
Well, yeah, because it's not like a brilliant title. It's just alliterative. It's sort of pleasant on the ears, you know?
Yeah.
It's not exactly a title where you come up with that title and you go, oh shit, we must now invent a reason to use this title.
It's Doctor Who. If they see a title they think is good, they'll probably write it.
Okay.
I think it's not like it's so good that we now have to do that, but it's like The Vampires of Venice. That sounds nice. It's Doctor Who. We could sort of do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they got it the wrong way around there.
Okay.
So there's the scene with him and Rory, I think, where they're comparing. Is it sonic screwdrivers they're comparing or whatever?
Torches.
Yeah. I didn't need the line "yours is bigger than mine." I felt like that was there without him having to say that.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's everything I've got to say about the episode. So go.
Oh shit! Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So go.
I'll say, I like that he jumped out of a cake. That's it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I sort of liked it. Again, I like the idea that you're bringing Rory in and sort of like the reason this, you know, it's like, oh, Amy tried to kiss me. Let's sort your marriage out, basically.
Yeah.
This is the second episode since Gridlock. Oh, this is the second episode, including Gridlock, to have like kind of coronavirus-y comparisons because Venice is under quarantine in this episode.
Yes, that's right.
So I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's literally it. I have nothing else to say about that.
That is it.
School of Fish. I don't know if you figured that out.
What now?
Well, because the quote unquote vampires are actually these fish from space.
Yeah.
And they're sort of suckering in girls by pretending to be this really prestigious school.
Yes. Okay.
And I just wrote down School of Fish in all capital letters. Because I completely missed that the first time I watched this episode. So I thought like, oh, that's kind of all right. Especially since they never
say it.
Yeah, Rory kind of says, I don't get what the whole school thing is about. But that's the closest they get to saying School of Fish.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay, that's all right, actually.
Yeah.
Also, can space fish wield rapiers?
Apparently.
Yeah. Again, like when they're in their like native form, they just look like sort of like these like beastly lobstery fish creatures.
Yeah.
And then when they take human form, they're basically human. Like they seem to talk and they're sort of like, you know. I like the exchange between the fish mother and the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's like, I'll ask a question, then you ask a question. I don't know what it is about. I don't know whether it's just the performance the actress was delivering, but I quite like that character.
Right.
Considering that she's just like a small one-off part, I think she did it pretty well.
Okay.
And it could literally just be the performance she's turning in, but I really liked it when she was on the screen. I don't know the name of the actress. I don't know if she's a person or not.
Oh, Helen McCrory.
Yeah. Is she a person?
Yeah, she's a person.
Okay.
She's in Harry Potter and she's in Skyfall.
Who's she in Skyfall?
She's the woman questioning M at the tribunal.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, she looks a bit different there.
Yeah.
To
Harry
her
Potter,
fishy
she's
self.
Lucius Malfoy's other half.
She's not Sister Malfoy, but most famously now probably because she's one of the leads in Peaky Blinders. So.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I liked her. But yeah, again, kind of the Prisoner Zero problem of you're a giant space fish. How do you know how to wield a sword?
Yeah.
Other than that, because none of you taking any of the bait, so I guess we're done with the Vampires of Venice then.
Yeah.
It's a thumbs down from me.
It's a thumbs down from me as well.
Oh, okay. I would say it's would I say thumbs up? It's not an enthusiastic thumbs up, but it's certainly not a thumbs down
sideways.
for me. Yeah, sure. Let's compromise.
My alternate title is so I don't know if you know lampreys, a fish that consume blood.
Okay.
So vamprays. There we go. Let's move on.
I like how even you're like, yeah, fuck it. I don't want this anymore. Let's just keep going.
Amy's choice.
Yes.
Right. Well, Toby Jones would be on my shortlist to play the Doctor.
This is who you were referring to earlier when you said they've wasted a guest actor.
Yes.
Okay.
He's not bad in it, but it does still. I don't know. They do this a lot on Doctor Who. It's like you got this great actor.
Yeah. See, yeah, he's not bad.
No.
But I didn't love him in this episode. I don't know what it is.
No.
I wonder if the episode would be all right without him.
Yeah.
Like the threat is just not knowing whether they're in a dream or not. You don't need that to be physicalized in a villain, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, I think if the episode didn't have him in it and it was literally just which dream is real, then it would have been not Blink levels, but it would have been sort of like that kind of thing, where it's just like this very conceptual episode. And that's sort of what carries the strengths of it.
Yeah. Well, I found it quite insubstantial again.
Okay. But it is sort of, like, we've just been introduced to Rory. Now it is sort of exploring the dynamic between the Doctor, Rory, and Amy.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, you know, oh, which one does Amy care about more, you know?
Yes.
So it is doing something in the series. It's not completely...
Yeah, it's not superfluous.
Yeah.
But it did feel insubstantial.
Okay.
Hitting old people is funny. That is a universal constant.
It is. But old people with eyes in their mouths, it's a bit shit as far as villains go.
Oh, yeah. Of course it is.
Yeah, like the cold star, the cold sun. That's all right in terms of like a threat that they have to overcome in one of the dreams.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could have come up with something better than old people with eyes in their mouths.
That's all I've got to say about that one.
Oh, right. Okay. Why are we even bothering? You're just being like, yeah.
Well, if I got nothing to say, I got nothing to say. Do you know what I mean? I can't contrive opinions.
Yeah.
So it is again a thumbs down from me.
Oh, really?
It's a thumbs sideways for me.
No, I would have said it's a thumbs up.
Okay.
I think the concept is, at the heart of it, is very solid.
Yeah, I like the concept. I don't like the episode.
Oh, okay. You surprised me. Alternate titles?
Wrinkles in Time.
Right.
Grey Dream. I like that. I like Grey Dream. And Geriatricery. But I think just Grey Dream I quite like it. It was a terrible pun. Right, The Hungry Earth.
Yes.
I have made separate, because I didn't know this was going to be I did know the Angels were going to be a two-parter. I didn't know this was, so...
How did you feel when you learnt that it was going to be a two-parter?
This is the worst one. This is where I've got, oh no! I just felt like, what, this is a two-parter?
Yeah. I remember feeling something similar when I first saw it, when it first aired.
Yeah.
Like, oh, really?
Yeah, not this one.
Yeah.
The most dull, I would say.
Yeah.
He's the worst fucking pilot of all time, isn't he?
Who?
Doctor Who, the Doctor. He never ends up where he wants to end up.
No.
Were they supposed to be going in this one? Is it Rio?
Yeah.
He never. It's always like, oh yeah, with this time, with this place. He's terrible. He's a terrible pilot.
I mean, River points out that if she knows how to fly it properly, which she's obviously learnt from him.
Yeah.
Which means that you can fly that properly and get to the right place in the right time, but because he thinks it's boring, he doesn't bother.
Yeah.
Also, the TARDIS does sort of have a say in where he goes as well.
Yeah,
yes.
It takes him where he has to
like,
be.
how good of a pilot can you be, really, if your ship is sentient and has, like, intentions of its own?
Well, that's rape, isn't it? I wouldn't try and drive it.
TARDIS by your ship.
So like Amy says, I've dressed for Rio, and that becomes like a recurring joke through the episode.
Yes.
Amy, I'm not complaining, but you're always dressed for Rio. If that's so... She's always, every episode she's in her like mini skirt or whatever.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not complaining, but come on. I like the moment she's like, tell Rory, like before she's pulled under or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, what? I'm not getting your... It's like, tell Rory I'm ambivalent about him. Do you know what I mean?
No, I feel like after Amy's choice was supposed to... It's supposed to be pretty clear that, like, oh, Amy and Rory are an item.
Do you feel that, though? Because even after
so.
that, it feels like... you never feel the love from her. It never feels like she's in love with him or like
Not from her, no. No, not from her.
Oh, from him, absolutely. Yeah, he's head over heels. You can tell that. But from her, you never get that reciprocation.
Okay, all right.
You know, the Doctor, there's this thing of like, he's being towed by his train of thought.
Yes.
So there's this thing, he's in the room, he's like, oh, this thing, I'm getting scattershot. You know, he can't keep track of it because he's just being, his thoughts are pulling him along rather than he's towing his thoughts.
Yes.
This is the best, Matt Smith is the best at doing that, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
Him verbalizing his train of thought is much more believable. He's slightly kind of more rigid and clumsy, but in like a good way in terms of how he's moving. And improvised. Yeah. It feels more scattershot. It's like when he's just picking something up, like, oh, I'll put that over there. And it just feels kind of right. Like the momentum of his train, you know, is like pulling him behind it.
Yes.
And that feels the most accurate representation of that that I've seen.
Absolutely. He's a good.
He is very good.
I like Matt Smith a lot.
He is very good. You can only take a Welsh voice in distress so seriously, can't you? Come on, let me in.
Also, they always do this. They always pick the Welshest people they can find.
Yeah. And they are Welsh, so it's not like an accent that they're doing.
No, I know. And I know it's set in Cumtar.
No, that was a question.
Like,
so they are actually Welsh actors, are they? They're not.
Oh, I actually don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, but like I said, I know it's set in Cumtarth, so I know it is the heart of Wales, but you know, not the heart of Wales in like, oh, the crown jewel, just like it's properly in Wales.
Yes, the valleys, yeah. There's a van with Pen of Van on it. Was that a joke? Is that a deliberate in-joke? Yeah, it's quite dull, isn't it, the episode?
Funny enough, it's written by Chris Chibnall.
It is, yeah. I picked up on that. I did, yeah.
42 as well. I didn't point it out at the time, but 42 was written by Chris Chibnall.
Yeah, quite dull.
Yes.
Quite boring. Yeah, my heart did sink when I realised it was a two-parter.
Yeah. It rushes to get itself over with, doesn't it? At the end.
Yeah.
You have like that CGI vista shot of the Silurian Empire underneath the Earth.
Yeah.
And the Doctor's like, this isn't a tribe, this is a whole civilization. And before he's even finished the word civilization, the end music starts.
Yeah.
Like the episode is like, right, fucking let's get out of here. You know,
yeah,
even the episode wants to be over with.
Yeah, it was boring, frankly. I found the episode boring.
What did you think of the Silurians, the most recent returning classic villain?
Well, they look like creatures from Babylon 5 or Farscape.
Okay.
Or Star Trek. They don't feel like I know you get aliens and everything, but they look more out of Star Trek.
Which is interesting considering that they're Earthlings. They're not aliens.
Yeah, but they're default alien design, aren't they? Like, other than the Area 51 alien.
Yeah.
If you think of an alien, that's what you picture.
Like a lizard humanoid.
Yeah, scaly with like a slightly weird shaped head and.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think much. I thought they were like basic alien.
Yeah, I mean it's not a bad place to come from, alien like creature wise, and I don't know if this is true of classic Silurians. I've got no knowledge of them. But the concept is basically, what if we did Planet of the Apes, but we were the race that came afterwards rather than the apes?
Yeah.
So it's sort of like an inverse Planet of the Apes. Like, that's a decent idea.
Yeah, it's a decent idea. Are we talking about the first part now or the second part?
Kind of both, I suppose.
Okay. Yeah, there are decent ideas in there. A lot of the time I was watching it thinking, I see what they're trying to do.
Yeah. And I do like I think the idea of like, they get rid of it very quickly. I don't think they ever really explain the whole, like, the graves eating people. I know that's the Silurians doing. But I don't think they ever explain why the Silurians are grave robbers.
No.
But the idea of, like, the ground beneath you will just randomly swallow you up. Like, that's fucking scary. That's a really good, like, threat.
I suppose, but that hadn't occurred to me till you said it. Do you know what I mean? So, like, the episode
No, that's the thing. It doesn't do anything with it. The only reason it exists in the teaser as, like, ooh, what's going on? And then pretty quickly they sort of explain, oh, it's the Silurians. They're pulling people underground.
Yeah.
But the threat of, like, the ground consuming you, like, that's a really scary threat, because how do you fight that?
Yeah.
How do you not stand on the ground, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's sort of that's an idea that Doctor Who may one day be able to return to, but
it's a wasted threat.
Yeah, exactly.
So my episode, let's jump to the second one. My alternate title for the first part is Subterranean.
Right, okay.
I'm proud of that one, I gotta say. But it's a thumbs down.
I'm glad you are, Sam.
Yeah. It gave me that pun, but it's still a thumbs down.
It wasn't worth it.
It wasn't worth it.
Okay.
So Cold Blood. Right, this is the first time I noticed that Amy does a lot of wide-eyed action.
Okay.
She's always wide-eyed.
Yeah.
And when I noticed that, I couldn't not notice it anymore. It's like when someone points out a verbal tick and you go, oh, why the fuck? Now that's all I'm going to pay attention to.
Okay.
There's a bit of that. I realised like how... I know she's trying to do like a... you know, like if you're talking to kids and you kind of raise your intonation. She's sort of doing the family performance of like wide-eyed and very curious and moving along with the Doctor. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. She's broadening that tick so everyone can sort of understand it.
Yeah, kind of. She's delivering a broad performance, and her doing that is being wide-eyed a lot, you know?
Okay.
But yeah, so I picked up on that, and then I couldn't unsee it.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
All right.
You see, I see what they were trying to do with the episode. This whole, you know, like, it's a conversation and we need peaceful negotiators and that sort of thing. But I like that the resolution of that is, right, okay, look, we're not ready for you yet. So in 1,000 years, when we've sorted our shit out, you can come up to the surface.
Yeah.
I like that his proposal is that humanity, that the people in that room have to go out and propagate a mindset via mythopoetry.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Like spreading stories about, let's just make up this whole like mental architecture of the earth is for sharing. Let's just go out and cultivate that among everybody. and then maybe in 1,000 years.
I also
when
like the
story
idea
is
that the
spread.
compromise the Doctor comes to is like, right, you go back into hibernation.
Yeah, nothing changes for you.
Nothing changes. That's our compromise. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? He puts his hand through the crack.
Yes.
I really wanted it to be a cosmic glory hole. Really, and he just grabs an alien dick on the other side of it. Alas, that
for
was not the
shame,
case.
Sam. For shame.
I know. Rory fucking died quickly, didn't he?
Yes.
They just do it. It's just like, okay, he's dead now.
And he's forgotten.
And he's forgotten. It's like the only thing worthy of note, really, in the episode.
It is. It does feel like a. It's not obviously because he comes back, but it does feel like a course correction from a writing perspective. It's like, oh shit, we don't actually want Rory. And I'm not saying it is that because it's not.
No.
But it feels a bit like because the way he dies and then they forget him instantly. It felt like a neat way of going.
Amy forgets him. The Doctor remembers him.
Yeah. Amy forgets him. It's like, right, we needn't come back to him. He's done now. We don't have to deal with the emotional fallout of his death.
Oh, I don't know.
We can just carry on as normal.
I wouldn't say that.
No, I'm not saying that is what it was, or that was the intention.
No, obviously, yes, because you obviously know that he comes back. I don't know if, like, in the moment, it would be entirely clear that this was a course correction. The fact that he's killed off so quickly.
Yeah.
Like, if he'd been with them for the rest of the series, and this was, like, at the beginning of the second series this happened, then you could feasibly go, oh, all right, nobody liked Rory, so they're getting rid of Rory.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not saying it is that, and I'm not... You saying it being clear that it was a course correction, that's not true, obviously, because it's not a course correction.
Yeah.
It's more the appearance at the time, because I didn't know he was coming back, right?
I don't know. I feel like you could sort of, at the time, if nobody knew that he was coming back, I feel like there'd be enough people thinking like, all right, something's going to happen there. He's not just gone.
Okay.
Like, even if the character never returns, that's, as a plot point, is going to come back.
Yeah, no, I thought the character is not coming back, but we will deal with the aftermath of that death.
Right, okay.
That's what I thought would happen.
Okay.
That's it really, isn't it, for that episode?
Yeah, it's pretty shit. Is it the worst episode of the series?
Yeah.
Is it worse than The Hungry Earth, or do you count The Hungry Earth with that?
Oh, it's like maybe tied for my worst episode of the series.
Oh. Have we encountered your worst episode of the series yet?
No.
I think I know what the worst episode of the series is, but we'll get to it.
The alternate title is shit as well, The Scales of Justice. Let's move on. It's a thumbs down.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think Cold Blood is an alright title as in and of itself.
It's a bit bland, but yes, it's got double meaning.
Yeah,
obviously.
it has a double meaning,
Yeah.
so it passes the title test. You know?
It does, yeah.
Yes.
Right, Vincent and the Doctor.
Yes.
Aye.
Well, first, so Bill Nighy.
The science guy.
Bill Nighy.
That was a joke, Sam.
I know. I was.
But you just weren't going to let me have it, were you?
I was grenading the joke. A soda. He says a soda. You're British, Bill Nighy. It costs as much as a soda. Who's pop? A can of pop.
Oh, well,
right?
I guess the episode's ruined then.
It is, frankly. Well, I don't like the episode as much as I think you probably do.
Okay.
I know, Eddie, you're a big fan of it.
Yes.
I thought it was okay. I think it's nice. It's definitely nice to look at.
Which is kind of why I like it.
Yeah, it's kind of like Loving Vincent, right? Where it like replicates his painting.
I was going to say, is this a tropospheric episode?
Yeah, kind of loose. Yes, not as heavily as has been done before.
No,
but yeah, in the sense of they kind of repaint. You know.
Yes.
Because I guess that's all you can really do with an artist, isn't it?
Yeah, just kind of like evoke their style or literally replicate their pictures.
Yeah.
In sort of the framing of the shots and everything.
Yes, they did that. It was the first time I became conscious that I probably only like Amy because I think she's hot.
Right. Okay.
At this point, I think it's because of the wide-eyed thing, like I said. But also, yeah, fatigue was setting in a little bit. So take my opinions from here on out with a little bit of a grain of salt, I suppose.
Okay.
Tony Curran's okay.
Yeah.
He's pretty good as Van Gogh.
I like him.
But he is definitively Scottish, isn't he? I mean, I know they've got like the language, whatever it is, where they
the translation circuit in the TARDIS.
Yeah.
And I think there's also like they do a little thing about it in this episode, I think. But there's sort of the implication that through the translation, it sort of messes with people's accents and like pronunciations and stuff.
Right.
So Van Gogh is actually from Holland.
Yeah.
But because they're hearing him speaking English, somehow that's making him sound Scottish, you know?
Right. Okay.
Oh, this is where you stop accepting
well,
shit.
It's just
is it,
stupid,
Sam?
isn't it? Stuff like that. It is dumb.
No, it's not.
You don't need to explain that. You don't need. The actor is Scottish.
Yeah.
They're not going to get him to do a Dutch accent because they would just sound goofy.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't need something in the show to say, oh, it makes them sound, they have different regional accents because blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you don't need that. Just don't even bother addressing it. Because when you start contextualizing it, it just starts to sound stupid.
Okay.
I like the graphics when the sky became the Starry Night. I like that.
Yes, that was very well done. That was very nice. That ties into a point that I want to make, but I'll make it after you've said your stuff.
Okay. I like the idea, depression as an invisible monster sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty good. I quite like the ending, where he's taken to see his legacy.
Yes. It's
a good concept. I think it's a bit fucked up by the song.
Yeah, the song definitely ruins the impact of that scene.
Yeah,
you need
don't know why they
music in it, because music is what gives that scene a sense of triumph.
Yeah.
But yeah, that song is... I think it's like when Doctor Who uses licensed music in particular, it never really works for me.
No, it's such like a mum song as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's what your mum thinks rock music is.
Yeah, and it's kind of so obviously like the intent, like what they're trying to get you to feel with that song. It's so obvious that you're kind of like, yeah, I'm not really feeling it.
Yeah, it's Carpe Diem basically, isn't it?
Yeah,
and it's no, it just felt really... Athlete is the band, right?
I don't know.
It's like using Feeder or something. Just like a really milquetoast beige.
I like Feeder.
Of course you do, Eddie.
I like Feeling a Moment, I will say, but other than that, I'm not a fan. But yeah, the song just felt like... I don't know, it was a bit like the end of a teen... Like the OC or One Tree Hill, Where they use songs a lot in those kind of shows because it connects to the teenage audience.
Yes.
It was a bit like that. Yeah, I thought that ruined it a bit.
Okay.
That's it. Go.
Okay. Is there anything you want to say, Eddie, given that you're a big fan of this episode?
Well, this thing, weird enough, it is like my favourite of this series, but I like how it looks, and that's where it kind of comes from. I like looking at Van Gogh's works, just in general. The whole bit with the sky, I really like.
Yeah, I think this episode, it feels more colourful than the other episodes in the series.
Yeah, definitely.
So I like that. I like the whole invisible monster thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it is a bit goofy, like the way he gets to see the monster through that old random machine that he's got strapped to his chest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, like, as I say, it's like my favourite, but it's my favourite just because of the way it looks, and I like looking at Van Gogh.
Yeah, well, I'm generally a fan in genre shows, all kind of plot-heavy shows, with this lot of... I guess arguably intricacy when they choose an emotional resolution to an episode rather than a plotty one. They just ended on a character beat. So I like that about it.
I do like the fact that when they get back to the museum and she's convinced that there's going to be like loads more photos, and he's just like, well, no.
But this is the interesting thing, though. I know what they're doing. It's Doctor Who trying to do a "this is life" moment.
Yeah.
But it actually doesn't make any fucking sense that he would have killed himself. Because it's like 3 weeks later, right?
No, it's a little longer than that.
Okay. But it's not like years and years. It's like a month or two, right?
No, it's not years. I think it's more than a month, but it's certainly not years.
It doesn't make any sense that that there's no more paintings and nothing has changed and history played out exactly as you... It just wouldn't be the case. If he had that experience and then he saw he might still have had depression, but I just don't buy that it would have played out exactly the same way.
I don't know, because I know that time can be rewritten as sort of like a repeated meme throughout this series. It's a repeated sentiment. But if you think about it, like the fact that the Doctor and Amy met Vincent and they fought the monster, like that is history. That has always happened.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
They haven't changed history.
Well, they have, haven't
It's just history play. Well, not really, because
they changed it because it's no longer... The Crephias or whatever it's called is no longer in the painting.
Okay.
And he dedicates the painting to Amy, doesn't he?
To Amy. Okay, maybe a little bit then. No, I don't know. I think it works, that moment.
Okay.
When they go back to the gallery and the paintings, it's still the same paintings.
It's one of those things, I think it objectively works. I think as an idea of, oh shit, we didn't actually change anything. But in the actual logic of the show, it doesn't make any sense that they would have done all that and changed nothing except that he dedicates a painting to it. I just don't buy... Okay, I just think that doesn't make any sense at all.
No, I think...
He killed himself after he saw the TARDIS explode.
Maybe.
But also you got to keep in mind that Vincent already has a pretty profound understanding of the universe, as he shares with the Doctor and Amy when you see the Starry Night being superimposed over the sky.
Yeah.
Like, seeing the inside of the TARDIS and seeing, like, learning about the existence of like life beyond the stars and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a shock to him, but it's not the same shock as it would be to any other person because he already understands the universe more than most other people.
Yeah.
So it's not a radical change in perspective for him.
It's not about change in perspective. It's more just, it's him getting to see that, oh, it actually, mate, it is all worth it. I just don't buy that still, because that's the ending, right? He gets to see that he's not going to die a failure.
But he does.
It will go on to be revealed.
He does die a failure.
No, as in, people care about his work. He overhears Bill Nighy saying he's the best artist who ever lived.
Yes, but in the time that he's from, no one gives a shit about him and everyone treats him like shit.
Yeah, okay, right.
So I know that he's gifted with the knowledge that one day he will be remembered, but right now the life that he's living is awful because everyone treats him like shit.
But Joe, right, okay, let's say that we're writers, right? And we jump forward 100 years and we find out that whatever we write is revered, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that make you slightly less gloomy in the present? Because when he leaves, they go to the museum and then the gallery and then they leave. He has a renewed sense of purpose. He's like, oh, thank you for that, yes. But he still just goes off and kills himself. I just think with the way they ended it, with his renewed sense of purpose, it makes little sense to then just assume that he went...
I mean, I would feel like less gloomy if I knew that one day my writing was going to mean something. But also, I'm not burdened with the turbulent mental health that Van Gogh has.
No, sure. But I don't know... Okay.
And also, isn't that kind of the point that even, like, you can, like, definitively put them in a place where, oh, everything is so much better, and then the next day they can just feel like shit again.
Yes.
Like, you can't fix mental health in that respect.
Absolutely. But the episode did not do the work of showing that. The last we see of him, his faith has been restored.
Yes, and then
let's face it,
the fact that there are no more paintings, surely that's enough to say, like, but merely restoring his faith that day was not enough.
I think the timbre of it was misjudged. I think they could have done a thing of his faith is restored, but then he sinks back into,
But that's what happens. We don't see it, but that is clearly what happens.
I just think they got it wrong. I don't think that works.
Okay.
I love the ending.
Disagree.
Okay. All right. Well, we just disagree on that one then.
Okay. Where do you stand, Eddie?
Well, it's my favourite episode of the series.
Yeah, we know that. But do you think that that moment, do you think that it gives you enough at the end to sort of deliver that idea that, yes, on that day, Vincent's faith was restored, but that alone is not enough to conquer mental illness. It can still pull you back down to the depths.
It doesn't do it fully. It certainly doesn't do it fully at all.
I won't dispute that if that's clearly the idea you were going for, then you could have maybe done another scene that more clearly demonstrates that. But also, this is still Doctor Who, this is still a family show. There's only so deep you can drill into mental illness before it becomes uncomfortable viewing.
Yeah, but on that same token, I would say, why are you using Doctor Who as a place to explore mental illness?
Well, you should still
to do it.
You shouldn't be scared off by the idea of like these difficult concepts, but you also need to understand that there's only so far you can go with a show like Doctor Who.
No, of course, but also, I mean, just by dint of its tone and its audience, it's putting a kind of a rose-coloured lens, isn't it? A rose-tinted lens, in the sense of, okay, it flirts with the idea of Van Gogh's depression and his insanity, but you can't do that justice in this format. Like, his depression, it's not like a kooky thing that he was seeing an invisible monster. He cut his own ear off in an argument. He was a severely mentally ill man.
Yes, yeah.
And I don't know, maybe just Doctor Who isn't the place to tackle that.
Okay, well, I admire that they went for it.
Okay.
Wherever you stand on how well the message is delivered at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I think the fact that the show wasn't too scared to, like, no, we'll give it a go.
Okay, I disagree with that then.
Okay.
I think just you need to know what your ballpark is,
Okay.
But I didn't hate the episode. I liked parts of it. But it is a thumb sideways for me.
I mean, the title is shit. But...
It is a shit title. There's no denying that.
Well, give us your alternate titles and then I'll sort of finish up with the points that I have.
Okay, well, the alternate titles are... I was going for anagrams this time around. Well, okay, the first one isn't an anagram. It's Off the Wall. And I really like that as a title, actually. Off the wall in the sense of that means crazy. But off the wall, the idea that his art isn't appreciated, right? So it wouldn't be...
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So then the anagrams are sienna traits. Now, sienna is an oil painting color. But Sienna Traits is an anagram of insane artist.
Right.
But my favourite one is largely mental, and that is an anagram of gallery lament. So I'll go with largely mental.
Nice.
I think as a
Okay.
title.
Bit insensitive?
Not really.
Okay,
Not really.
all right. Just checking. Yeah, I only have a couple more points regarding the episode. I'll start with the criticism. This episode, as you've said, Eddie, this episode looks fantastic, and I think that's somewhat bolstered by the fact that this is all shot on location.
Yeah.
There are no sets. They actually shot in, like, they didn't build a house for Vincent van Gogh. They actually shot in a house, and all of the, like, exterior locations, there's no, like, CG vistas, and it feels, like, tangible, in a sense, because it's all filmed on location. But when Van Gogh goes to paint that church, apparently he decides the best way to paint the entire church is to put his canvas right up against the exterior wall of the church and then just paint the whole church from memory, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's clearly because they couldn't find a church that looks like the church from the Van Gogh painting.
Yeah.
And I think in that instance, I admire the commitment to filming this episode practically. Like, the only CG is the Crephaeus itself and the Starry Nights sequence at the end.
Yeah.
But I think in that instance, it's perfectly valid to do a CG vista of a church that looks like the church from the painting.
Mm-hmm.
When you notice that he's, like, right up against the church, it just looks silly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my criticism of the episode. My compliment is I really like the idea, well, just sort of like the idea that art is kind of like the science of emotion, I guess. Like an artist is sort of, like, great artists are sort of gifted with a knowledge of the universe that the average man either doesn't have or doesn't know how to express. And that's sort of the virtue of an artist, is they can sort of show you the universe in a way that you never really were able to before.
Right.
I know this is speaking in very grand terms, but it's the reason I'm speaking in such grand terms is because in the Van Gogh episode, like, Van Gogh literally is able to see things that other people can't see in terms of the Crephaeus.
Right.
And he literally understands, like, how the universe works, and, like, he's able to break it down to, like, shape and color, and that's why he paints the way he paints. And I just really like that. Again, I think the episode is more about mental health than it is about artists. But I do really like this sort of this idea that, like, an artist can see the universe in a way that no one else can, and Van Gogh literally sees the universe in a way that nobody else does.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, as far as is it Crephaeus? Crephaeus, how do you pronounce it?
I think it's Crephaeus.
Crephaeus. I think that is a metaphor for depression. But, I mean, a good example would be when he looks up at the stars and then you see a starry night, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Artists are emotional scientists.
Yes, exactly.
Not to,
and I like that the episode...
denigrate that that observation.
No, but I was going to say, like, a lot of artists do suffer with mental health, so there is somewhat of a connection.
Not to denigrate it was the start of a sentence. Not to denigrate that observation. Is that not an obvious observation? The artists see the universe in a particular way, and they're like scientists, but
I'm not saying that this is like a profound, like, oh, I've never seen this done before, what a profound thing. I just really like that the simplicity of the metaphor. An artist can see the universe in a way that no one else can,
right? And
so Van Gogh literally sees the universe in a way that no one else can.
Okay.
I like the simplicity of that metaphor, and in a way I kind of wish it was sort of more, I would have liked to have known if it was more deliberate. I would have liked to know whether that was deliberate or whether that's something that I've just personally taken away from the episode.
No, I'm sure it is. It is deliberate. Like when they're lying down and he's explaining that, essentially, isn't it?
Yes.
It's in there.
You see the sky, I see shades of colour and shape. And
it's not the main thrust of the episode, but it's pepper. It's definitely in there.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
So thumbs up for Vincent and the Doctor.
Okay. Thumb sideways.
Don't be like that, Sam.
It is a thumb sideways for me. Right, the Lodger.
Okay. Well, we might all be in agreement on the Lodger.
Well, it's my least favourite episode of the season.
Okay. I wouldn't say it's my least favourite purely because Cold Blood and the Hungry Earth are so boring.
Yeah, okay.
The idea of having to rewatch those again, it's like, oh.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, I really hated watching The Vampires of Venice on a rewatch. That's probably my least favourite then, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I wouldn't say that at all. But yeah, the Lodger is... If you want to do a comedic episode, that's fine. But make the comedy good.
Yeah. Well, Doctor Who's never been particularly strong on the comedy front, has it?
It hasn't, but sort of like especially with Moffat, kind of the virtue of the comedy. There are some genuinely like funny comedic moments, but also most of the comedy flies past you so quickly. You have just enough time to register that it's comedy, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
So you sort of laugh out of reflex.
Right.
When it's the meat of the episode, it's like, oh shit, this is not good.
No, it's a provincial episode of Doctor Who, isn't it? It's very quaint.
Yes.
Okay, let's just get this out of the way. I've never understood the James Corden hate. I've never understood it. I
will say he's actually all right in this episode.
Yeah,
I was not looking forward to rewatching The Lordship because I don't like James Corden.
Right.
I think he's pretty good in Gavin and Stacey. I like him in that. But outside of that, I find him sort of irritating.
Okay.
But I think when he's just... Because in this, he's a bloke.
Well, no, yeah, I mean, you say a bloke, not like a bloke. He's not a bloke. He's a...
No, he's just like a guy.
He's a fella,
you know?
yeah. He's a guy who's kind of in love with a girl. That's
yeah, exactly. He like lives in a flat, he eats pizza, he goes to work.
Yeah, he's
just
a
guy.
Yeah, he's a fat
like that works for him.
Yes, but I never understood it's like Nickelback to me, in the sense of, okay, they're not good, and they're certainly not great, but they're no worse than like 60-70% of musicians in general.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
I've never understood the disproportionate. And it's the same with Corden. Yes, he comes across as insincere as a talk show host, but they all do. So I've never quite got that. But anyway, I just want to get that out of the way. Yeah, he's fine.
Is it because of is it seen as like a betrayal? Because he was like, he was in like this British show and he was doing like this double act with this guy, and then he sort of left all that behind for, America.
Yeah, I do think British people have a resentment for success. I genuinely do. I think that we don't like it when we feel like they betrayed us, Well,
I mean, people still like Simon Pegg.
Yes,
right?
But I think who's talking about this? I think a comedian was talking about this. As far as the press is concerned and popular opinion, they love you, then they hate you, and then if you stay the course and come out the other side, you become a national treasure.
Right.
So like Simon Pegg, I think, has come out the other side and has become a national treasure.
I see.
But that does seem to be the trajectory, the tabloid trajectory of, oh, new kid on the block, we love you. You're getting a bit samey now. We're seeing you too much. But then, yeah, if you just stick to it, they'll like you again.
Yeah.
So maybe James Corden will be loved again at some point.
Maybe.
It's quite a boring threat, isn't it? And quite a boring premise.
Yeah.
Just a time traveler upstairs. It's just a bit...
Yeah.
What kind of a flat is 1 story high?
Yeah, it looks like when the time machine upstairs like disappears and it becomes the 1 story flat that it actually is.
Yeah.
It looks so wrong.
Yeah.
It looks so unnatural.
Don't work like that.
Yeah.
You don't get 1 story flats. Just doesn't, maybe the occasional rare one, but it's next to houses that are 2 stories high.
Yeah, maybe if it was a 3-story house on a street of 2-story houses, then maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't look natural at all.
Nope. That's kind of it, really. I mean, it's got a doctor playing football in it. I think
that was a good thing.
Yeah. My alternate title is Out of His League. And that's it.
Right, the second person that sort of gets baited into the flat.
The woman, yeah?
Yeah, it's a woman who I think has been on a night out.
Right.
But she looks like she's been raped. Like, her clothes are like all torn. Her makeup is like running. Her hair's all like frizzy. I guess they were like going for like, she's been on a bender.
Yeah,
and now she's
like
going
a walk
home
of shame.
by herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, walk of shame.
Yeah.
But yeah, her clothes
maybe
are like
she
all
was
torn.
raped and maybe she had the worst 12 hours of anybody in history. She was raped and then she just got whatever you want. What happens to them? I can't even remember what happens to them.
Oh, they go upstairs and they put their hand on the console and it like dissolves them or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I got. It's a thumbs down.
Yeah. It's not a good one.
Right, are we done with that? Done with the
pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, should we talk about these as 2
or
as 1? Yeah, fuck it, let's do it as 1. I don't have many notes for the segments. Let's do it as 1. It felt a bit like the series 4 finale in terms of bringing everyone back together, but obviously just from season 5. You got the Queen, you got River Song,
I like that. I like that every episode of the season gets referenced.
Yes, I did.
It makes it feel like it's a cohesive unit, even if they're only like cameos, basically.
It felt pretty neat.
Yeah.
Especially as it was wrapping up.
Yes.
There are only, I don't know how many more times he does this, but there are only so many times he can scare off galactic menaces by fronting it. Do you know what I
No,
mean?
he's the Doctor. That's his MO, isn't it?
Okay.
That is a pretty iconic. Is that one of, if not the most iconic Matt Smith moments, Eddie? The Stonehenge speech?
It is up there.
I've
I know
seen that
that's
clip before, so it's definitely up there.
That's the speech.
I don't know if it's the most iconic.
That's the speech that Ryan Gosling saw and hired Matt Smith based on.
Right.
That is true.
Is it Lost River? Is that the name
Lost
of the film?
River, yeah.
Yeah. He hired him based on that speech. And it is a pretty, like, it's like, that's a good moment.
I don't know.
What's wrong with you, Sam? You're wrong about everything.
I think when Doctor Who starts to take itself seriously, it starts to become funny to me. So when you've got the Doctor, I am talking, I just go, oh, shut up. Just shut up, you stupid man. So I didn't think that was an epic moment.
Okay, well, you're
Just a
wrong,
bit
but
silly.
by all means, carry on being wrong.
Right, explain Rory to me. Explain that. What happens?
Amy's memory.
Yeah, it's a bit convoluted, isn't it?
A little bit.
It reminds me of something that someone on our course would have written.
Well, when he first appears, the Doctor says, like, it's an absurd universe, ridiculous things happen. I was thinking, well, okay, that's not an inaccurate statement, but it seems insufficient as an internal logic.
Yes.
You know what? Mad things just happen sometimes.
Yeah.
They
do end up trying to explain it, though. That doesn't become the actual explanation as to why Rory's come back.
I don't know whether I like these two episodes. I honestly don't know.
Okay. Well, that's new.
It's so messy, I have no idea how the fuck I feel about them.
Okay.
I don't know if they're good or if they're bad. They could be terrible and they could be great. I have no idea.
Right, okay.
So just the default is a thumb sideways for both.
Okay, I think the Big Bang is stronger than the Pandorica opens.
Yeah, I'd go with that. Yeah, it's very Moffat-y in terms of its...
Well, that's what I kind of like about the story. I like that all of the spectacle goes into the Pandorica opens, and then the Big Bang is a very small, kind of all over the place kind of episode. Like, it's like Blink in the sense that time travel is sort of happening, and so events are happening out of order, you know? Mm-hmm. So that kind of conceptual playing with time element is kept for the finale after we've been wowed with all of the spectacle in the episode before.
It's like interstellariness, like the closer you get to like the black hole, the singularity or whatever.
Yeah.
The more things just start to fuck up. Or like Space Odyssey, the ending of Space Odyssey.
Yeah, kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah, things just exponentially kind of rapidly, advance.
Yes.
Yeah, I liked all that, but like I said, I have no idea what was going on. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll just go with this.
I don't like that they switched from Earth-based Cybermen to alien-based Cybermen without telling us.
Okay.
That has always irritated me, that all of a sudden the Cybermen are just from space.
Right.
Did you even know that, Sam?
No.
They just did it without telling us. I think that's irritating.
I'll say, the one thing I will say is I know they would have reused it because they still had the prop head. But the guy, the Sontaran, is the one that dies in the Poison Sky.
It's Christopher Ryan, isn't it? Is it like the main villain from the Sontaran stratagem?
Yeah.
Okay.
That
being said, Eddie, the Sontarans are a clone race, so it could just be another version of that Sontaran.
But if you actually look at the ones where they ever show their face, they never look the same.
That's true.
They never look the same.
Well, Strax looks the same. Strax looks the same as the one from Poison Sky,
That's because
right?
Strax is the same. He basically the idea is it's supposed to be like him paying penance for what they did. So
okay.
That's why it's that form of him. But yeah, no, this is the Sontaran that specifically died in an episode, and then it just was like, right.
Okay, well, I don't like the idea of the Alliance. I've never really liked the idea of the Alliance. The scene with all of the ships and the speech with, the Stonehenge speech, that's pretty cool. And I do sort of like the idea that the Pandorica is designed to hold the most dangerous being in the universe, and that being ends up being the Doctor. I think that's a nice idea. But let's be real, the Daleks would never work with anybody.
It doesn't make any... Yeah, there's no...
Neither would the Cybermen.
They literally say... Do they... their species catchphrases.
Yeah.
And the Cybermen is literally assimilate.
Yeah.
How can you work with anybody else?
Delete as well. Delete is also a thing they say a lot.
Delete, exterminate, and assimilate.
Yeah.
How are they going to work together exactly?
Exactly, yeah. I also think that, it was a nice opportunity to show off all of the monsters that we've seen so far. The Alliance is like...
The Jadoon are there.
The Jadoon are there for like a shot.
I think they should have had the Weeping Angels in it.
Oh, no.
No.
If you're gonna do that, you might as well.
But that's what I mean, because they brought all of them back, and who better to guard the Pandorica than 4 Weeping Angels stood one either side?
It's not a bad shout, actually.
Anyone that tries to get him gets sent back in time.
No, it's a decent idea, I suppose. But firstly, like after the universe ends, all of the creatures turn to stone, but the Weeping Angels turn to stone anyway, so it's not going to make a difference. But also, I was going to say, like, this is an opportunity to really show off the length, like the breadth of monsters in Doctor Who when the Doctor is being like pushed into the Pandorica, and you've got Daleks, you've got Cybermen, you've got the Sontarans, you've got the Jadoon, you've got the Silurians, and you've got the monster from Love and Monsters.
I can't even. What's Love and Monsters? Which one's that?
The Absorbaloft.
The Absorbaloft episode, which I think every discussion I've had to remind you of it.
Yeah, what's the Absorbaloft?
Peter K.
Oh, okay.
The monster they're chasing in the beginning that has like the giant teeth.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
the Sycorax.
No. I'm not talking about the ships they mention. I'm talking about the creatures you actually see outside of the Pandorica. There's only like a couple of them.
Outside.
What do you mean they're outside?
In that group of things, there is a Sycorax.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know. I felt like, considering how many species were supposed to be present, we didn't see enough.
I only really noticed 4. I noticed the Sontarans, the Daleks, the Cybermen, and the Jadoon.
Yeah.
But a Jadoon walking into frame is always a good thing.
Yes,
the Jadoon walking right up to camera. You got all that. So.
Okay. So how do we feel about the Doctor being erased from the universe and then sort of being remembered by Amy, and that's how he's sort of brought back?
Crock of shit.
Well, it's not. It's vague, isn't it? It's like it's poetic logic made tangible.
Okay.
And sometimes that works in Doctor Who, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's like they do that a lot, actually, where it sort of becomes fantasy, magical over science fiction. So like in the season 3 finale, where he is re-empowered by everyone thinking of him at the same time or something like that.
Yes, yeah, that's it.
What does that mean? That's magic. That's not science.
Okay.
So it does that sometimes, and sometimes it works. In this case, I was like, okay, whatever. As long as going into season 6, we're all good now. I mean, there's no hanging, timey-wimey, blah stuff.
Okay.
I just want us to, we're going to have Amy and Rory and the Doctor going through time.
Okay. Well, it has been sort of like it's become a common observation that like Moffat's interpretation of Doctor Who is the show is a fairy tale.
Right.
So there's definitely moments like that where it feels more fairy tale than science fiction.
Yeah. The bride, like the Princess Bride and all that.
Yeah, kind of. The fact that the Doctor is brought back into existence, not through some complicated scientific jargon, but because Amy remembers him and she sort of remembers him through words. There's that whole something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. That reminds her of the TARDIS, which reminds her of the Doctor. It's like, that's a nice, Oh, you don't agree, do you, Sam?
Not really. It was a bit cringy when it was something blue. I was like, oh, come on.
But it's the TARDIS. It works,
It was okay.
Yeah.
It was alright.
I like that. I like when he comes out and he's like, "Hello, I'm Amy's imaginary friend, but I came anyway." Like,
well, that's my alternate title for the second episode. It's something blue. I thought that would have made a good title for the episode.
Okay. And what about Pandorica Opens? What's your alternate?
Well, okay. So my other alternate title for the second part is For Whom the Bells Toll. I think that's a good one as well.
All right. Okay.
Wedding bells, death. Yeah. Alternate title for the first one is The Rory of Roman Britain. Because the book is the story of Roman Britain, isn't it?
Yeah.
And my favourite one, Antagonist.
Okay.
Get it?
Explain.
Well, all the antagonists, but it's all of them. It's like a list of antagonists. It's the antagonist.
Antagolist.
Yeah,
I see. Yeah. Okay, right, okay.
So I probably... Actually, the Rory of Roman Britain has a nice ring to it. So
yes.
Might go with that. And then For Whom the Bells Toll for the last one.
Okay. Fair play to Rory, like being awake for 2,000 years.
Yeah. Must be knackered.
I would have liked that. I would have liked a slightly more, considering that it's sort of reset by the end of the episode. Having a more feral, rugged Rory by the time we meet up with him in modern day.
Can't be rugged, can he? Alhadabel. I mean, even in Broadchurch, he plays like a fresh-faced priest, doesn't he?
Yes, yeah.
He's got that quality about him.
Mm.
Well, that was season 5.
Yeah.
What do we think of series 5?
It's a thumb sideways from me.
Oh no.
Yeah, because it started with like sequential thumbs up, and then it slowly became sideways, then down, and then sideways. So on balance, I think I've got to give it a thumb sideways.
I enjoyed rewatching most of it, but I ended up not enjoying watching the last 2 episodes alongside the general shit.
See, I quite liked it. I quite liked it on the rewatch.
You're a fanboy though, Jord.
outside of that, I liked it. It felt more like a cohesive season. Like series 3 at the moment is sort of still the benchmark for you, right? That's still the best series.
It's the best series, yeah, in terms of, but again, I'm thinking of it in terms of how many good episodes were there.
Yeah, I don't know if, for me, there are more good episodes in series 3 than there are in series 5. Mm-hmm. For you, I think there are. Mm-hmm. And obviously series 3 has Blink, so it's automatically like a front runner. Yeah. But I don't know, it like series 3 at the end of the day, it does sort of feel like a collection of episodes. Whereas this feels a bit more like a construct.
It feels circular.
Yes.
It was obviously, that was in its design, but I think their attempts to do that made it a bit too convoluted for me.
Okay.
I appreciate the effort of.
Well, if you thought this was convoluted, Sam.
Well, yeah, I know it's all downhill from here, isn't it? But
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I would say this is the last good season of Doctor Who.
Oh fucking hell! I'm not even halfway through it.
No, you're not. Not that I don't want to
colour my opinion.
I wouldn't want to colour your opinion, but also you do kind of need to prepare yourself for what's to come.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie, there is a part of me that genuinely feels like after Matt Smith I might need a break.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
What was your favourite episode of this series?
Oh God, run through them again.
So you've got the 11th hour.
Yeah, that's good.
I think basically it's between the 11th hour and Vincent and the Doctor, right?
Not for me.
Those are like the two
angel
front
ones.
runners.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and maybe the time of Angels.
Okay, yeah, the Time of Angels. The Time of Angels. That's my favourite.
Oh, right.
That's my favourite of the season.
Well, it's obviously the 11th hour, but
it's
not, because it's Vincent and the Doctor.
Oh, we were all disagreed. Brilliant.
Oh, that's interesting. That's kind of nice. We all have different favourites.
Yeah.
I think, are we mutually agreed on the worst episode?
Well, is it The Lodger or is it Hungry Earth, Cold Blood?
Yeah, I suppose it's Hungry Earth, Cold Blood.
I would say so as well. Yeah. I think the fact that it's a 2-parter as well, it's way longer than it needs to be.
Dislike The Vampires of Venice on the rewatch more, but in terms of what I think is probably the worst, it's probably that 2-parter.
Well, we said before, like, the worst sin in Doctor Who is being boring, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's no excuse to be boring in something with this kind of scope. So
no. I think one of the reasons I also like The Vampires of Venice, for the same reason you sort of like Vincent and the Doctor, Eddie, is because it's all filmed on location. Yeah. And there is some CGI stuff in there that's a bit ropey. But the Hungry Earth and Cold Blood are mostly sets, and it suffers because of it. Whereas Vampires of Venice is at least a good-looking episode outside of its like slightly lackluster in the grand scheme of things script.
Yeah, so I think we're kind of locked. I really, Matt Smith might be a contender, but I think I'm pretty done now in terms of my favourites.
Okay.
I don't see that any of those being topped, but we'll see.
There's like a handful of episodes to come that are at least worthy of being in the same conversation as Blink.
Okay.
Blink is going to be tricky to beat. I don't think it can be.
I agree.
I mean, this is coming from someone who likes the 11th hour as much as he does.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I don't think anything will top it for Sam, though.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We don't want to just end on this is how things are going to be now. We'll have some suspense.
Yeah.
Well, that's it though, right?
Yep.
We're done?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Catch you next time, man.
Ciao, ciao.
Ta-ra.